Yeah. Speak now. Then invite Ravi. Okay. Riju, you can just initiate the discussion. Then Ravi will introduce. Okay.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, you can start now.
It's already live?
Yeah, it's already live.
Okay, fine.
Spell out the school name also.
A very good morning to all of you present here, the students of Presidency South and Aecs Magnolia Maruti Public School. I welcome all of you for this orientation program. The faculty of both the schools and the management, I thank you for taking part in the Lake 2020, a conference on ecosystem structure, function, goods and services. So we begin our journey of the conference, which is in December today. Here we are going to discuss about various projects, how you can do projects, and from where you can collect data without going to the field. So we have a list of resource persons who are going to talk on various topics. So I welcome you all once again on this auspicious day of Gauri Ganesha festival. So I heartily wish all of you a very happy festivities, and let us begin the program today. So I hand over the session to Ravi Shankar, who will talk to you for a couple of minutes.
10, 15.
Thank you, Ravi Shankar.
Thank you, Riju. And this is Ravi Shankar from Indian Institute of Science. I welcome all of you, both the school, Presidency School and Aecs School. And today, as he said, that auspicious day, and on this auspicious day, we are going to do Lake conference. So I request Dr. T.V. Ramachandra to take you into Indian Institute of Science. Thank you.
Thank you, Riju. And good morning to all of you, the students of Presidency School as well as Aecs School. I think Presidency School is taking part in the Lake Symposium after 10 years. I think in 2010, two of the students from Presidency had won the prize in our conference. And now I was told those two kids are doing extremely well in their professional career. They have gone for higher studies. Probably that is the kind of the capacity building happens when the children at a very young age take part in a symposium like Lake Symposium and also interact with the experts. You know, the knowledge when they acquire, they also become confident. Now, we have conducted about 12 events since 1998. And about in each event, about 500 to 1,000 kids have taken part, and it has become quite successful. And many of the students have become faculty in various institutions, premier institutions like IITs, Triple IT, etc. So those who are youngsters today, you are taking part in the event. I look forward that you also become a sensible citizen in our country and give something to the country. See, acquiring knowledge and leaving the country is not this one. We need to be in our country and try to help in the development of the country. And some of us have decided to stay back in the country. And today, you all are getting the benefit of our decision to stay back in the country. And many of my batchmates who did a PhD today are faculty, are the director of the various institutes. So you also would have the similar opportunity to take part in the nation building. I welcome you all to the Lake 2020. This is the biannual conference which we organize once in 2 years. You know, this year, the event, the 12th event is during 28th to 30th December 2020. It is at our institute at Bangalore. You are most welcome to come to Iisc. Getting into Iisc is not that easy. One has to be highly competitive. So those who are in 99% plus are the one gets into Iisc. But those who are unlikely to get such a score still have an opportunity to come to Iisc through the Lake Symposium, including the people who are excellers in their the daily this one. Okay. Now, when you come to Iisc, you get a feel of a campus, the green campus. The youngsters who have taken part for the first time in the symposium and in our discussion, you should know that Indian Institute of Science is a premier institute in the country. We are number one in the country. And number one is because of the various contribution done by our youngsters, the students, because of their innovation, because of their design. Today we are on the top, and also we are also on the top as far as basic science is concerned. Okay. Now today's event, I was told by Mr. Riju that Presidency School and Aecs School is taking part, and the theme of this workshop or the conference is on Know Your Ecosystem. So, and we are hoping that by 1:30 we will be winding up the thing. I request all of you to be attentive and take part in the discussion. Don't just log in and log out. We do not want the scrap in the system. We want people who learn. So I am looking forward for many more talented youngsters get the benefit of this knowledge and try to do something for your family, for your parents, and also to the nation. When you think of your parents, you will also worry about the nation. When you start ignoring your parents and teachers, you will also not worry about the nation. I want more and more sensible people in our system. That's where we do this kind of capacity building program. And one more thing you need to keep in mind is, like many teachers, we also do the teaching. We also do research. In addition to that, we also conduct a capacity building program. Every year, if you see, at least 10 or 12 capacity building program we conduct. And that is our motto, is to equip the youngsters, and majority of the participants in our events are 60 to 70% are from the schools and colleges, the teachers as well as the students. Our objective is to give additional knowledge to the teachers so that they can teach effectively in the schools and colleges, at the same time equip the children, and they get a flavor of the institutes, the premier institution like Indian Institute of Science. Now, we have been covering the many topics. This the journey started almost 10 days back. We had talks on birds, butterfly, how to map the water bodies, then what are the important website where you get the data, and all this the presentations are archived at YouTube. Any point of time you can go to the YouTube, the link which we are sharing with you all. You can subscribe to that channel so that automatically you will get the details of the next event. You know, if you are interested, you can take part in the next event. And also if you want to see the archives, you know, there are interesting talks. You know, there was a talk on biomimicry by taking birds and butterflies as example by Rijulal and Chaturbed, and it was one of the popular talk that held day for yesterday. Those who are interested can go to our website at YouTube and then download that video and can look at it. Similarly, there was a talk on trees of Bangalore, how to identify the trees, etc., trees, the plants, etc. Then the next one was on insects. Professor Akshay very lucidly explained how to identify the insect, what are the benefits of insects, you know, like pollination, etc. We are not talking about trouble making the mosquitoes, etc. We are talking about beneficial insects which have been adding to the nation's productivity through the pollination. And also we will talk about the importance of the water quality. That talk is scheduled sometime next week or next month, so you can attend. There will be a couple of lectures, and also there is a talk on soil which is available at our website by Dr. Vinay. Okay. Now, when you look at our website, see, every researcher has a website at Indian Institute of Science. When you go to our website, you will get the details of research paper. This section gives all our published article, and you can download the article and read. And if you want to know about Lake Symposium, details are available at the website. Okay. Now, when you access the website about the Lake Symposium, you will get the details of the brochure. The brochure is also available at the Iisc main page. You can download, you can register. The kids whose paper is accepted for presentation, they need not pay the registration fee. While the kids who are not through in this preliminary selection process, they are most welcome to take part, but they need to do the registration. Okay. Now, with this, let us look at the theme of the conference. The theme of the conference is on the ecosystem. Let us look at what is ecosystem and what is the structure of an ecosystem, what are the components of an ecosystem, what are the functions of an ecosystem, and what are the goods and services we get from the ecosystem. See, what are the goods you get when you start your day? If you have upama, you would have had curry leaves. You would have had other ingredients in that. All that come from the plants. So now let us try to understand from an ecosystem, whether it is on the land or on the water, what are the benefits people get it. From the water bodies, you all know that you get fish, you get fodder, and also you get sand, which can be used for building for construction activities. Now let us try to understand what are ecosystem. Ecosystem includes all the living things and the environment in which they live. That means it has got a biotic and abiotic component. You all know the biotic component, including yourself. We all are the part of the ecosystem. Animals, so we are part of the animal, the plants and microorganisms are the part of biotic component, while the abiotic refers to the environment surrounding us, like soil, water, etc. So now this is the biotic and abiotic components of an ecosystem. Now, what does biotic factors include? It includes plants, animals, fungi, microorganisms. Today there is a talk on yeast. You will understand the role of microorganism in our day-to-day making. See, when you have dosa or idli, you also see that there is a microorganism in dosa or idli that is doing the fermentation. Okay, if you have payasam, again you would see the microorganism role in that. Okay, so let us try to understand them with a live example of how we use these things in day-to-day life. Okay, now when you look at the ecosystem structure, see, you all know there are various trophic levels in an ecosystem. Your teacher would have told you. You have producers, followed by that consumers, and then you have predators, at various levels. Now, when you look at this carefully, you see the solar energy is being used by the plants during photosynthesis to convert into the carbohydrate. Now, that is what we all eat. So that is eaten by the next level consumers, and which is eaten by the next level. When you see that when somebody is eating something, when you eat fish or when you eat green plant, there is a material and energy transfer from the plant to your body. Similarly, energy and material transfer happens to the various organisms. Then whatever is left in the system is converted into elemental form by the bacteria and fungi. That's why we call them as environmental engineers, because they decompose the organic fraction of this material, converted into elemental form. And when you look at carefully, there is nothing called waste in the natural ecosystem. You will see waste where waste human beings are there. Who are these waste human beings? The one who uses plastic for everything. See, if they have to get idli and sambar, they do not carry the steel container, but they will carry the polythene bag, or they ask the shop wala or the hotel wala to put it in a bag. These are all a good example of the fools. They exist on the earth. Similarly, the another set of fools are the one who use the bottled water. That is the plastic bottle, Bisleri, etc. Your mother boils water at home. You can carry it in the steel container. That is more healthy. That is without any kind of a contaminant. Instead of that, some of the fools, they carry the polythene, the plastic bottles. In the process, what happens, the chemical constituents in the bottle get transferred to the water, and the people who consume that water are also getting the cancer. This is what our study shows. Now, the message here is, when you study the ecosystem, you will understand how the ecosystem functions, and if there is an imbalance in ecosystem, what happens. All those things you can study under the ecosystem structure. Now, when you look at the biotic component, if you are interested, you can work on the elephant. You can study the behavior of the element. Similarly, the bison, Indian bison, you can study. This is all we had an opportunity. We have an opportunity to go to the field quite often. We study all of them. So similarly, the plants, my group works on all these aspects. So these are all the things they captured when we were doing the research in Bandipur and Nagarhole region. Okay, now let's look at the abiotic factor. This includes our surrounding, air, water, soil, temperature, wind. These are all example of abiotic factor. These are some of the examples. Suppose if you want to find out what is the solar radiation in a region, how it varies, that could be one project. If you want to map what is the soil and what are the nutrient in the soil, that will be useful to the farmers and others also. You can study that also. These are the kinds of small experiment one can do. This doesn't take much time. You should understand this kind of projects will take hardly a 10 to 12 days, and then you can come back and do a good presentation. If you do a very good presentation, you will be chosen for the next level, that is for the Lake Symposium. We are planning to have the 2 levels of screening. First level would be done by your teachers at the school, and then the next level who have been screened and selected at the school, we will do the next round of selection, because we can accommodate only 1,000 youngsters in the conference. That is where the country of 1 billion population, 65% are the youngsters. We cannot bring all 65% of 1.3 billion people in the country. So that's where we need to do the screening. We give an opportunity to the sincere people who really do a good job. Only the sincere people does a good job. The insincere people only try to demonstrate their ignorance or arrogance by unnecessary waste of time. Okay. Now coming back to the topic, we all understood at a particular location, ecosystem consists of biotic and abiotic factors which are intimately intertwined. Okay. So that means depending on the location, we have the living organism and also the non-living organism. The organisms that are there in Bannerghatta National Park, you cannot get it in Kolar. Similarly, the organisms that are there in Kolar, you cannot get it in Bannerghatta National Park. That means each location has its own significance. You are born in a particular family. Only you can born in that family. You cannot come to the another family and expect that they are your family members. Okay. So now these are all the abiotic thing. You can and biotic factor. These are the various parameters you can take up for your studies. This is a vast this one. So and you can list in your surrounding what are the biotic and abiotic factor, what are the predators are there, how they depend on the for their food, and what is the kind of prevailing abiotic factor. See, if there is a dengue in your locality, why the dengue comes, what kind of the abiotic factors people have given for the dengue, the vectors, all those things you can study. Also, if you are interested, you can study the food chain. Suppose if one component is missing, what happens? Suppose if you remove the snake from the system, what will happen to your food? See, all those, the herbivores will increase, and then you will see that you will not get the food. They will eat away all the food. So that is where to maintain the balance, what is the composition of the organism in a trophic level to be maintained, you can also do that study. Okay, that's also an interesting study. In case you want to study the entire globe, we have about 8 to 12 million species. See, our ancestors have recorded that as 8 to 12 million species. But in a science, we could only estimate 1.3 million. That means there is a lot more to do, especially for the children born in India. And you see the wealth of the information that is available, and also the knowledge, the opportunity you have. See, when you have diverse organism, you should also know that you have diverse food and diverse medicine. See, today you see that all of us are inside at home, and we have closed our faces with a mask. That is because of one small microorganism. That is mainly because of our irresponsible behavior. We have got the virus that is there in the wild animal to our homes. Now that small organism, through the mutation, is multiplying and changing its color. If we are unable to even to come up with a vaccine, that is the situation. At the same time, you need to understand the small organism has shown us our limitation. However big you are, now in front of this microorganism, you need to close your mouth, face. That's what even Narendra Modi does. That's what the President COVID does, and that's also the crazy man Trump does. Okay, all have to close their mouth in front of the microorganism. That is the power of the ecosystem. That is the power of the biotic and abiotic component of an ecosystem. Now, we all work in Western Ghats. Those who are not aware of Western Ghats, this is in the western part of southern India, from Kerala to Gujarat. When you look at this region, this is a home for diverse plants and animals. You see that when Corona happened, you saw the large scale the infection happening in the cities. But when you look at the Western Ghats villages, I hardly saw any Corona the patient. Only when people from Bangalore, or the Mumbai went to these villages, they carried the coronavirus. But still the people in that area are immune to these diseases. They are immune because of their food habit. The food what they take every day has kept them immune to this kind of diseases. When you go to any of the Western Ghats region, Shivamogga, Uttar Kannada, closer to the forest, you will see their mothers prepare a food, at least 4 or 5 varieties out of plants or animals. That's where the children are so healthy. The children are so intelligent. Whenever results are declared, the SLC toppers are from that region. Okay, when the PUC toppers are from that region. Today CET results are going to be announced. You just see that the children from that region will be the topper. That is mainly because they all get the diverse food. Unlike the mad fellows in Bangalore who depend on too much on pizza. Their brain is only that pizza brain. It doesn't think much. When you have diverse food, when you have pulses, and when you have diverse food, you have diverse medicine, your body would be immune to any diseases. You can even attack Pakistanis without a weapon when you have immunity in your body. Okay. Now, this is the kind of the nature we work. See, when you look at the nature, you see all the plants are competing. They are all synthesizing food. They are competing with each other. There is an optimization. This is the healthy competition. As a kids, you should compete with your classmates. You should have a healthy competition. That message you can learn from by observing the nature. See, when you go to the forest, when you go out and spend few hours outside looking at the plants and animals, you become very intelligent. And also you start worrying about the ecosystems and how to protect it and etc. More importantly, it also gives you a lot of satisfaction so that you can think. Okay. Now, I was telling you about Western Ghats. You see that Western Ghats extend from Kerala to Gujarat. Suppose if you are from any of those villages from Western Ghats, I would say you can go to the village and do the study. What kind of plants are there? What kind of animals are there? Now, let us see why Western Ghats are important. Western Ghats has 100 plus rivers and streams. Because of that rivers and streams, southern India gets the water. Because of that, we have the food security. Now, if you want to see the diversity of plants and animals, you see here x-axis shows the latitudinal gradient and number of species. And highest number of species you see in a Western Ghat, in a region corresponding to Kerala and Karnataka. We all are either from Kerala, Karnataka or Tamil Nadu. We inherit the diversity of plants and animals. That's why the onus is on our shoulder to protect them, to conserve them, and also to use them. I'm not saying you should not eat the extracts from the forest. You should eat it, but at the same time, you should never overexploit and you should learn to respect the forest and Mother Nature. Okay. Now, when you have the kind of the environment, you see that healthy ecosystem ensures the holistic health. Everyone will be healthy. That's where when I go to this region, my team quite often we go there and we are all healthy because of this clean environment. Unlike if I go out in Bangalore, when I come back, my students will have headache. But when we travel in this, even in the midnight, we are so energetic. That means this kind of ecosystem gives you the holistic health, the harmonious state of mind, body, and spirit. Okay. So now you see how the plants get adapted to a situation. Here, you see that there is a lot of water in a marshy area. The plants' roots have to respire. See, they have got adapted to this kind of a thing. See, this is called adaptation. At the same time, they survive. Okay, these are the diverse. One example is this kind of fruits. You can see what are the kinds of fruits available in the forest and study. So, and you can also look at what kind of plants are there and what are sacred groves. Patch of forest is protected in this region. They are called sacred forest because our elders thought that when there are forests, their wells will carry water. Their streams near their home also will have water throughout the year. That's why they started worshipping the forest. They protected the forest so that they can get the water throughout the year. So these are called sacred groves. Now today I see some of the people are converting this forest into the temple. The steel concrete structure that only helps civil engineers, but not the nature, nor you and I. what we want is green plant, not the cement structure. Where cement structures are required, like where stupids have to stay, you need cement structure. Where nature has to be there, we should respect nature so that we get water and food, etc. Okay, now you got the message. Nature is always in balance, and nature also does the treatment. You see people washing cloth. When you go to the Kaveri river, you will see people washing cloth. You collect the water sample there, you will see contamination there. 500 meter downstream, you collect the water sample and analyze. You will not see any contaminant. By the time water moved from point A to point B, that means at the point where the washing of the cloth was happening, and the other point 500 meter downstream, you see there is a treatment has happened. This is called remediation, and these are done by organisms, microorganisms like bacteria, algae, etc. That is called bioremediation. That's another topic, you can take it up. Okay, the third one is renewability. You can see what are the renewable resources that are there in your locality, how this one, what is the cycling pattern, all those things you can study. Okay, so you understood how the nature maintains the harmony, and also there is a energy efficiency, material cycling happens. All this you would have studied in your 7th or 8th standard environmental science book. Okay, now the native people, the people who live in nature, they never do the over exploitation. You see, if you go to the coastal area, people extract fish or they biomass what is required for their day-to-day thing. They amass the wealth. They do not over exploit. That means the message here is we should never do the over exploitation. We should maintain the balance in the system. Okay. Now you can take up the topic related to any of these things for your project related to ecology, biodiversity, water, people's livelihood, energy. All these are linked. You can also study all these things. All of you, if 4 or 5 teams are there from the same school, each one can take up one theme, each group of 1 or 2 students, and then the whole school can present the ecosystem of that region. You can present the ecosystem of Bangalore, you can present the ecosystem of Indranagar or the Jayanagar, like that. Okay. Now I will tell you how to do it. Suppose if you have taken a particular region, see, you study what are the water resources are there. This is in a district, Uttar Kannada district, we have mapped the thing. And what is the agroclimatic zone? You all know, you have studied in the 3rd or 4th standard agroclimatic zone. See, in this district we have coast, and you have a hilly terrain, and you have plains. So you need to look at the various the agroclimatic zone and what is the temperature, rainfall pattern in that region. Okay, so we have studied the entire district. So these are the rivers. We have studied the entire river basin. Okay, then we also looked at what is the kind of the topography, the slope. Okay, and then what we did, we were interested in plants. We just looked at, using remote sensing data, we just broadly came to know where evergreen forest is there, where deciduous forest is there. Then to find out what species are there in this forest, evergreen forest or deciduous forest or semi-evergreen forest, what we did is we chose the grids. These are the grids chosen in the district. As I said earlier, there are 3 agroclimatic zones, and we have chosen the grid so as to represent the agroclimatic zone. And second thing is, we have chosen the grid in such a way, we divided the district into 5 minutes by 5 minutes grid, and in that grid we just noted down what plant species are there. You need to know how to identify the plant. I am sure your teachers will be in a position to identify the plants and animals in the region. Okay. Now we also found out what is the kind of land use, land cover using remote sensing data. You all would have used the Google Earth. Using Google Earth, you can find out how much area under forest, how much area under agriculture. If you look at Google Earth today, you will find out in your locality how many houses are there, how many plants are there, how many cars are there, all those things you can map. Okay. I will not get into the details of that. We have, see, these are all our field data collection point. We use GPS to go and collect the data. Our Bharat will tell you about how to collect the field data. Okay. Now, the likely topics, what you can study is, you can study the diversity of fish, algae, mammals. That means whether it's aquatic ecosystem or a terrestrial ecosystem, you can take up any of this thing and study. Or you can take a water body and study the various organisms that are there, how the food chain is there, what is the water quality you can do. Then the second thing is, you can also look at cultural diversity and its linkages with the nature conservation. See, if you go to these rural areas, the Western Ghat area, you will see there is a lot of cultural diversity. Because of that, people protect the forest. If you come to Bangalore, no, the culture is missing. You know, we're staying in apartments and all. They know the culture of only fighting with their neighbors, not with the this one, how to live with the people. You know, such this one. That's where you can go to the nearby village, find out what is the cultural diversity and how it has helped in the nature conservation. Okay, then you can also look at terrestrial biodiversity, you know, diversity of plants, animals on the land, and aquatic biodiversity, diversity of plants and animals in the water bodies. If you have a well, if you have a lake, you can study the lake. If you have a stream, you can study the sun. Similarly, if you are interested in microorganism, you can find out what are the microorganisms are there, how beneficial they are to you. I gave an example of those are idli or the fermented tree. All these are because of the microorganism activities. Okay, then you can also find out what are the food habits in the coastal district, or food habits in the Bangalore, the whether people eat more of junk and what kind of problem they have with the junk food. Then if you are interested in sacred groves, you can take up sacred groves, study the diversity and what are the threats in that. Okay, like that cultural diversity. If you want to study what are the vegetables that are there in the Bangalore market, what are the medicinal properties of that, you can study that. Then if you want to study the palms, you can go, if you are from coastal area, you can study that. Okay, then if someone is interested in zoonotic diseases, the corona is a good example of zoonotic diseases. Similarly, the monkey fever, dengue, etc. These are all through the virus. You know, these are all the origin is in the wild animal. They have come to the humans. Why did they come to the human? Because people removed the forest, the deforestation made this organism to visit your home. When they visited your home, they also were carrying the virus and they gave it to the human. Okay. Now, if you have a balanced diet, how you can get the immunity, one can study that. See, when you do the studies yourself, you will understand the importance of this. Otherwise, you will never appreciate that. Okay. And food habit, why your mother struggled to give a balanced diet, you try to understand that. Okay, and what are the benefits, you compare yourself with another person who doesn't have a balanced diet, who only eats the carbohydrate or the pizza kind of thing. What are his health the problem, you can assess that. Then you can also look at floods and droughts. If you go to Kodagu, if you are from Kodagu or Kerala, you can do that. Then role of native vegetation in mitigating landslides, you can study how this vegetation helps in the minimizing landslide or mudslides. Then you can also look at the native biodiversity, how it is giving the job to the people. Say, for example, if you go to Udupi, lot of people, they grow the jasmine flower. Because of that, many women have got the job. They sell it in Udupi town and they earn about per month 10,000 to 15,000, which is sufficient for them to run their family. Then you can also look at what are job prospects in rural area, what kind of industry one should have. Okay, broadly you can study all this ecosystem. You can do the coastal, estuarine, terrestrial ecosystem. You can study the landscape diversity. Whether you are in rural area or urban area, you should be able to do the studies. One need to think. When you think, you have your project at your location. So, you know, today when you start looking, when you see outside and start thinking, you will say, okay, I will study this component and these are the likely results. Then you can talk to the teacher and also to us. And if we are convinced, you can go ahead with the project. You, at any point of time, you can contact Rijulal and Chaturved. Then my team members, Bharat and all these people, they will tell you what to, whether you are in the right path. Okay. Now, when you have time, you should take your parents to the location where land is available. You do the planting. See, that's what the children who come to Iisc, they all have planted. The kids who have visited Iisc in the last 10 years, they have been planting. These are all the photographs of the youngsters doing the planting, and some of them have grown very big. And as the trees have grown, these kids also have become successful in their life and career. Okay. Now let me tell you about where to get the data. If you are interested in doing this kind of experiment, one of the reference book is available at this location. This is Envy's Technical Report 77. There are various sections in the report. If you click on the section section 2, it talks about mapping of and monitoring of water body. You can find out where all water bodies are there, how to monitor that, how to map it, that you know how to do that. Even Dr. Bharat will be talking about it. Then how the Google Earth can be used to map the water bodies and the forest, he will tell you. Then if you are interested in water quality monitoring, which are the parameters to monitor, how to collect the sample, that is available at the section 4. You can download this report and go through it and do the experiment. If you want to do the experiment on biodiversity, the plant and animal diversity, this workbook will give you those details. You can download this report. You can do the similar thing. See, if you want to do the documentation at a ward level or a village level, you can take it up. As per the Government of India Biodiversity Act, we are supposed to have a biodiversity register for each village or for each urban area. You can do that so that we can give it to the government and say that this is a contribution from your school. So you can take up Bangalore, the biodiversity documentation, or the couple of wards in Bangalore, you can take it up. If there are 198 kids in your school, 198 wards are there in Bangalore. Each kid with 2 or 3 the youngster from other section can go together and do this kind of documentation, so that entire Bangalore mapping of biodiversity you can do that. Okay, so it gives the details about environmental monitoring, water and how to monitor the water, etc. When you do that, your teachers will evaluate in the first round. Then the second round, we will verify and shortlist the candidate for the Lake Symposium. When you are selected, you are most welcome to come to this Lake conference. You get an opportunity to visit Iisc and interact with experts, interact with all of us. And I would look forward to all of you to come for the thing. I would say that each one of you have the potential to do a good job. You should pose a serious challenge. That means we should find it we should find it difficult to reject any candidate. I would say that is the kind of challenge youngsters should pose to the people like us. I look forward for your active participation. And you see what kind of small experiment one can do. Suppose if there is a park, you can go to the park. At each location, note down the latitude, longitude, XY coordinate in your GPS or in a mobile. Then find out what plant species is there, what is the circumference at 130 centimeter. That means if your height is this one, at your chest level, you find out the girth and find out the height of the tree. From that, you can find out what is the carbon stored in a tree. So carbon sequestration by plant, what you studied in a photosynthesis, the same thing practically you can study. When you do this, couple of students, if 10 or 12 students do this kind of thing, you can also have recreation. Okay. So you can enjoy, the kids who do this kind of thing, they have become very intelligent now. Then if there is a water body in your locality, you can do the catchment mapping. Catchment is a region we drain the water to a lake. So you can find out what kind of plants are there, what kind of other entities are there. You can do the mapping of that. You can collect the water sample. See, here the kids have been trained. One of the teachers who have been with us for a long time from 98 or 2000 is Ali Rani. She has been training the kids from KK High School. She has been training the kids, and the kids are taking part in our program regularly. The kids have been trained. They collect the water sample. They collect the biological sample. They come to the lab. They analyze. They do the sketches, and also they take photograph in electron microscope, compare that. See, the kids get an opportunity to understand. A school kid of 8th standard or 9th standard getting exposure to this kind of analysis makes him more successful. Then he will start thinking about science and how to do the science and how to develop a product, how he can have the happy life in India. Okay. Then if you are from rural area, you can take up the documenting biodiversity in your village, or documenting biodiversity in Bangalore also you can take it up. And when you do that, we'll have orientation program, and also we'll have the workshop to evaluate. Your teachers does it, and then we will evaluate and we'll choose you. Okay. This is one of the event we did it in Davangere, where our students are training the youngsters. Now today most of them will come and deliver this one. They will interact with you all. Rijulal is here, Chaturved is here, Vinay is here, then Sudarshan is here, Sinsi and Sulabha are here, and Deepthi also is there. Okay. So then you see that the kids doing the experiment, we are evaluating them. And then when they come for the event, there's a student section. You can do the presentation student section. At the same time, you can attend the lectures of the experts, and then you can interact with them. You can interact with the minister, you can interact with the bureaucrats. At the same time, you can interact with the experts and scientists from other countries, and also with us. Okay. So this gives a glimpse of 2014. If you want to get the data of biodiversity, this is a website wherein you get the data. Deepti is going to talk about this thing, what kind of data is available and thing. If you want to read article, we also have written published simple articles you can download and read. These are Sahyadri e-news. You can download so that it gives an idea what kind of experiment you can do. If you are interested in birds, there is an article written by Harish Bhatt is there. Harish Bhatt will not be able to attend this time the conference. He has gone abroad. He has told me that he will not come back, but he will interact with whoever wants the information. He can communicate to you with you all through Rijulal and Chaturved and many youngsters like them. Okay, so then you have the plants. Okay, if you are interested in algae, you can study the algae. See, algae are patchy. If you in your bathroom, no, the slippery floor. When you collect the sample and analyze, you get this kind of the organism. You see that it looks like a soap box, but this is a microorganism. Okay, that also has a oil. We are our students are looking at how to convert this oil into biofuel so that you can run your scooter or a car, etc. Our study shows India has lot of solar energy and also the prospects of biofuel, and also 65% are youngsters in the age group of 20 to 35. I think if all of us work, we can make the India, the developed country, even stronger than US or China. So you should think in that direction than running to those countries and use our resources and go to that country and make that country more strong. Instead of that, you should think of staying in the country and make the country proud with the proud children of this country. Okay, so now this is the website. You get the details any point of time. You can download my presentation and others presentation. So when you look at our website, it gives the details like this research paper sections. When you click on that, you see theme wise we have arranged the publication. You can download. If you are interested in climate change, you click here, you will get the papers related to that. Similarly, if you are interested in water body wetland, you can get it. Then about fish, if you are interested, you can click here. So you get all the details. When you come to Iisc, you will see there is a lake. You get a feel of the Western Ghats through this kind of plants, and we also have a forest. See, this gives a glimpse of this one. When you look at this carefully, it also gives an idea how to design a product. You can become an engineer. Okay, and we also have created a mini forest in the campus. This are when I was a student, it was done. Today, the benefit of that, you feel that there is a rainforest in the campus, and more importantly, groundwater, which was 150 feet in 90s. Today, we have groundwater at 5 to 10 feet, and temperature is another 2 degrees lower. And we have lot of your friends. Slender or Kadu Papa are there. Many are there in the campus. So that's why many youngsters come to the campus to look at these Kadu Papas and birds in the campus. Okay, this is gives a glimpse of youngsters working with us. This is a last symposium. Okay, when you do a good job, you will see the smile in everybody's face. I would like to look forward for your honest work, sincere work, and come to us, give us a knowledge, and we all will be happy. And when we are happy, you will be successful in your career. You will not look back in your career. You will think about contributing to the nation and make the country proud and your parents proud. Okay. So the details of the symposium is available at this website. Okay, and you can download the brochure any point of time. This brochure gives all the details. You can download, which is available at the website. At the same time, any point of time, you can communicate to me through this web email IDs. Okay, and Deepthi will share those details anyway. Okay, I look forward to your active participation. I want teachers also to take active part in the symposium so that this will help in the capacity building. What you learn in the conference like symposium, interacting with us, probably you can be a good teacher. You can interact with the kids in a better way. I look forward for a sincere effort from the teachers, teaching fraternity, as well as the student. I invite you all to the Lake Symposium. Now I request Deepthi to move forward. She will talk about where to get the data and what kind of data are available. So thank you all.
Good morning to everyone. I welcome you to today's pre-lake conference. So now I'll be taking you all through my slides, which will basically highlight the important websites. So far, TVR sir has given you different likely topics that you can take up for your project. So I'll be giving you a glimpse of various websites that is available in order to get more information regarding your project. So coming to birds, so let's say you're documenting the birds that is available in your neighborhood. So what are the websites that you can look for, and what are the things that you can look for in these websites? So all the websites will have these kinds of icons like home button and about the website, what are the details given, and then you even have photo galleries in those websites, and then there could be even digital archives also. So one of the example that I'm showcasing here on the right side is Ecology Student Society. So here you can see you have something called photo gallery. So you have different kinds of resources or species that have been listed. And in each of these listings, you can get different kinds of characteristics and the scientific name, common name, and their habitat, food habits, and then the morphological characteristics. How do they look? How is the beak size? What is the feather color? And what is the size of the bird? All the information can be collected from these websites. So on the left side, you can see there are several websites that I have listed. So this consists of all the organization, independent organization, and then private website, and as well as your government websites. So like I said, when you click on those bird icons, this is how the pictures are to be seen. And then you can click on each of these pictures and try to know what are the different characteristics of those birds. You can compare the photographs that you happen to take in your neighborhood with these photos on the website. Similarly, you have Zoological Survey of India. This talks about different kinds of species across India, and then it also gives different states, what are the fauna and flora recorded in different states of India. So here you can see state fauna series. So here you can click and you can select Karnataka, and you can see what are the different faunas that are recorded in Karnataka. So this is how the document looks like. So similarly, this is Bangalore Birding. So this exclusively documents all the birds that have been recorded in your Bangalore. So same way, eBird is also another website which also documents exclusively the birds that have been recorded in Bangalore. And you can also contribute to these websites. You can also identify these birds and then give out the characteristics and then actually locate where exactly you have recorded these birds and then contribute those information to these websites. Similarly, coming to butterflies, Chaturved will be exclusively explaining about butterfly morphology and its various aspects. So here I have listed one of the websites that is called iNaturalist. Here also you can explore different kinds of butterfly species that have been recorded in your region. So you have something called explore button. So if you click on that, you have this kind of map that you get to see. Here also you can give different regions in Bangalore and then try to see what are the different butterfly species that have been recorded in this region. So this is how the recording points, the data points have been distributed across that particular region. So all these tells that there are different kinds of butterfly species that have been recorded in each of these data points. So here you can click on the species, and then this is how the photographs. So each of these points have been contributed by different researchers. So they have told that these are the species that we have recorded in this particular place, and this is how it looks. This is how the color of the wings look, and the size of the butterfly, and this is the host plant. All that listings can be seen here, and you can also see where I'm indicating using mouse. You can see there is in black bold, they have given a common name, whereas in the bracket just below that, there is scientific name. So if you happen to know the common names of those butterflies, you can search what is the scientific name in these websites. Similarly, we have butterflies of India. Here also you have maps, and you can actually see where and all the one particular species of butterfly has been identified, and then they have been located. Similarly, in this website, you can find different other data, like I said, for the previous, for birds and all. Here also you have butterflies of India, and for insects, cicadas of India, reptiles of India, amphibians of India. Any of these topics that you happen to take, you get all these information in this particular website. So here also you have different photos that have been contributed, and each of these photos will explain in detail about that particular butterfly species. So here I've given another screenshot of this particular website where this particular species, distribution of this particular species across India. So you can see it has a varied distribution zone, and then all these pink points actually refer that there people have recorded this particular species in these regions. So similarly, if you happen to record one particular species of butterfly in your region, you can actually go to this website and search for that particular species and see what is the distribution across India. Similarly, the host plants. And this is another website which exclusively focuses on butterflies of Bangalore. So you can refer to this website as well. So coming to trees, so TVS sir has already shown our website, EWRG, that is Energy and Wetland Research at Iisc. So here also there are different documents that you can get for trees of Bangalore as well as India. And you also have Karnataka Biodiversity Board. There also you can find different kinds of trees, what is its height, girth, and then what is its habitat, what is its cycle. All that information can be collected in these websites. So you also have listed down uncommon trees of Mysore. So you can also take up what are the different uncommon trees or native species of India, or the ones which have been introduced, all those, if it has a medicinal value, or if it how much of carbon dioxide does it sequester, all that details you can work on when you take up trees. Coming to fishes, so fishes we have Karnataka Biodiversity Board, which will be taken up by exclusively by Cincy. So fishes also, you can say where exactly have you recorded? Have you recorded in a river ecosystem, or from a pond, or from a lake? So you can give out the details as to where you have collected these fishes, and what is the dimension of these fishes, what is the length and weight, and then how does the fish look, what is its color, how is it a scaly fish or a non-scaly fish, all that different things. And then if you happen to get its local name by the fishermen, or the information by the localities, you can actually search based on that local name and then try to understand what is its scientific name. Similarly, like in Karnataka Biodiversity Board, you have different kinds of listings, like algae of Karnataka, angiosperms of Karnataka. So here you can also find fishes of Karnataka. Similarly, we have some other websites as well, which is a database. It's called FishBase. So it's a global website. Here also you can search different kinds of fishes that you have recorded from the lakes nearby your region, and then understand what are the different characteristics of it. Similarly, let's say you happen to take up medicinal plants as one of your project themes, and then you can list down the different kinds of medicinal plants across your neighborhood, and then the medicinal plants that can be easily grown in your garden, and what is its value, and what is its composition, and then for what ailments is this particular plant treated, is it processed, or can it be consumed in raw form. All that information also you can document, and these are the websites that you can look into for these kinds of information. Similarly, coming to air quality, if some of you are interested in understanding what is the air quality, what are the factors that contributes to the air quality of a particular city or a country or globe as a whole, you can also look at these websites, and then you can also have a comparative study. Say if you want to compare two different cities, populated cities, or densely populated city or sparsely populated city, and try to see their air quality, how is it, or you can even take up a case for an instance like before Corona and after Corona, what is the air quality of Bangalore itself in that way, or India as a whole. So all that information also you can get from these websites. So there are different government website as well as private website where different kinds of month-wise also you can do the study. So if some of you are interested from coastal region, if some of you are natives of coastal region from Udupi, Mangalore, or Kumta, Karwar, Honavar, all from that region, you can also take up marine ecosystem as one of your topics and try to list down what are the different kinds of marine resources that are found in our Karnataka coast, and what are its benefits, and in what season are they available, and for what are they used other than food, what else can they be used for. All that information you can get from these websites. So this is one of the screenshot of the website. So here you can see resources. It has listed down for 3 people, that is for scientists, for teachers, and for students. So it is a very student friendly site. So you can explore these sites and get to know more about marine ecosystem. So this is also about algae. So as we have freshwater algae that sir was talking about, Pachi, in your bathroom, the green, if you leave the water to be stagnant for a very long time, you can see the slimy layer. And then similarly, you have same kind of slimy layers, but only you can see it in a naked eyes. Those are called macroalgae. Those also can be explored in our Karnataka region, and try to understand what are the different kinds of macroalgae, which are commonly called as seaweeds. So what are the distribution of that across Karnataka, and what is it used for? All that information you can obtain from algae base. So this is another document which exclusively focuses on marine biodiversity in India. Similarly, like this webinar focuses on environmental literacy to make you sensitize towards the problems that environment is facing with anthropogenic activities, and then either anthropogenic or natural calamities. So what is its consequences? What will happen if certain things gets changed? Like Tivya sir highlighted about food chain. So let's say if you take out the snakes, if you kill the snakes for consumption or for other trade or for its skin or anything, what happens to the entire food chain? So it's basically to sensitize all your students in order to understand the importance of each of these organisms in a food chain as an ecosystem, and how each of these organisms will have an adverse effect on human beings as a whole. So now, as of now, we are in a pandemic situation, where how the destruction of a forest and then destruction of wild animals for consumption of for the consumption sake has created this has led to a zoonotic transformation from a virus that has been traveled from a wild animal to humans, and then it has spread extensively across the human race, and it is taking away huge amount of lives. So that also you can record. And what are the measures that you can take in order to sensitize the students? How would you go about sensitizing your juniors in order to take up certain conservation measure for the environment? All this is about environmental literacies. You can take this also as an exclusive topic for this particular project. So other than these websites, there are researchers across the globe who are working for environment, and they have conducted different kinds of studies across the globe. And if you want to have an understanding how the mammals of Africa are different from mammals of India, and if the habitat is different, is the food habit is different, or the life cycle is different, all that comparative studies these researchers have carried out. All these papers will be available in these two forums. One is Science Direct, another one is Sprinja. You can find our papers also in these two websites. So here you can see keywords. You can give out keywords like birds, butterflies, mammals, all that, and then you can find out different kinds of articles that you can read and understand how the study has been carried out, so that you can include those in your project as well. So this is about the website, and I thank you all for participating in this program, and I hope I have given out all the information regarding the important website. Now my colleague Ravi Shankar will be talking about the importance of yeast and what are yeast, and then I hand it over to Ravi Shankar.
It is almost
No, the same thing.
You copied, okay. He copied already.
I have copied and kept. Basic properties.
So thank you, Dipti, to say about and introducing me about yeast. So this is Ravi Shankar. I'm going to talk about yeast. So what is yeast and what are the importance of the yeast? You will come to know about this. So yeasts are eukaryotic single-celled microorganisms which are classified as members of the fungus kingdom. So the first yeast obtained hundreds of millions of years ago, and at least 1,500 species are currently recognized. So each sizes vary, it measures 3 to 5 micrometer in diameter, and some yeast can also grow to the 40 micrometer in the size. So one of the most well-known ordinary weird cyst, that is Saccharomyces cerevisiae, also known as baker's cyst. So yeast such as Candida albicans are also present in our bodies. Candida is not harmful but can cause infections. So as I said that it comes under the fungus. So this is the fungus which comes under this organism, yeast. So this five kingdom, which was RH beta care, which he had given, and he has put into this kingdom in 1969. So now difference between yeast and fungi. So fungi and yeast are two closely related organisms which belong to the kingdom fungi, as I said. So the main difference between yeast and fungi, that yeast is unicellular round-shaped organism, whereas fungi is a multicellular organism with filamentous hyphae. So here you can see over here that this is unicellular round-shaped organism, whereas fungi is a multicellular and filamentous hyphae it has. Rather than that, it also has some differences, like yeast is a microscopic fungus which comprises a single oval-shaped cell and reproduce through budding, whereas fungi is a unicellular or multicellular spore-producing organism feeds on organic matter. Yeasts are common in environment, whereas fungi found on dams, dark or steam-filled areas. Yeast are oval in shape and colorless and smooth, and fungi have a fuzzy appearance. Colors can be green, orange, black, brown, purple, or pink. Yeast converts carbohydrates to alcohol during fermentation, and fungi secrete hydrolytic enzyme to external food sources and absorb nutrients through the cell wall. Yeast reproduces through budding, whereas fungi reproduce through either sexual or asexual spores. Yeast used in baking industry and in the production of ethanol, and fungi used in the production of cheese and antibiotics. So yeast can cause vaginal infection in humans, and fungi can cause diseases like ringworm or athlete's foot. So yeast belong to the phylum Ascomycota and Basidiomycota, and fungi consist of 6 phyla like Cetridioimycota and Zygomycota, Ascomycota. So these were the difference between yeast and fungi. So what are the habitats of yeast? So it can be widely spread in the nature and can be habitat like plant leaves, flowers, fruits, and soil. So some it's like found also on the surface of the skin and in the intestinal tracts of the warm-blooded animals, where they may live symbiotically or as parasites, and it can grow of the yeast is affected by the pH, temperature, and the nutrient level. So what are the uses of the yeasts, and what are good yeast which can be utilized in the industrial process, and what are the bad pathogenic which can cause infection? So it can be used in the bread, alcoholic beverage, and food like idli or dosa, and it can cause also infection in the human beings, like one organism which is Candida albicans, which can cause rashes on your body, and it can also infect animals. So how you can isolate yeast? So some sources like yeast are very common in the environment and often isolated from the sugar-rich materials, as I said about the fruits like grapes, apples, peaches, or or it's also exuded from the plants such as plant sufts or cacti. So what are the media you can use to isolate yeast? So that is yeast extract, peptone, dextrose, and agar. That is YPDA media that is called. So in 1 liter distilled water, you can take 10 gram of yeast extract, peptone 20 gram, dextrose 20 gram, and agar 20 gram. Now you can autoclave this media to 40 to 45 minutes at 121 degree centigrade, and then you can plate the media to incubate for the 24 hours in the incubator for 35 degrees centigrade to grow the yeast. Now you take one fruit, as I said, any fruit like grapes, apples, or peaches. Uh, uh, Keep that fruits, wash it, cut it, squeeze it, and then keep it in the distilled water for 24 hours, and then uh, that that media which you have prepared, that which you have autoclaved, that like 40 to 45 minutes in minute and 120 degrees centigrade, which it will be like this media, and then you can pour into this petri plates, and then the fruits which you have kept for 24 hours, then you can go for the serial dilution of that fruits. So 1 gram of that fruits you take it, and then you take 5 or 6 tubes what you want for the serial dilution, and then mark it at 10 to the power 1 concentration, 10 to the power 2, 10 to the power 3. Likewise you can do, and 1 gram of that fruits you take into the 1 tubes, and then 1 ml you put into the another. Likewise you do the serial dilution of the tube. Then the serial dilution which you have taken, then these petri plates which have become like this, you pour into this serial dilution, and then you keep and incubate it for 24 hours. After 24 hours you will get this kind of yeast or colonies. So how, that is how you can isolate yeast. So now the examples of the fermentation. So fermentation refers to the metabolic process by which organic molecules normally glucose, which convert into acid, gases, or alcohol in the absence of oxygen. So there are a number of products from the fermentation, which most common are ethanol, lactic acid or carbon dioxide, and hydrogen gas. So these are the some pickles which are in the citric acid fermentation, and this is the fermented milk where you can prepare. And these are the sauerkraut, which are the prepared by the cutting of the cabbage, and these are the some fruits and pickle vegetable pickles which are there by which you can ferment it. Thank you. So now I invite Dr. Bharat to talk on the mapping.
Good morning, my dear students. So till now we have looked at which are the data you can collect from the online, and also sir has gave the overview about the which are the kind of projects you can take up, and also Ravi Shankar has provided even you can look at the microorganisms and how its behavior and what are the use of those microorganisms. Now I try to provide you the brief overview about what are the maps and how to collect the field data and how you can use the maps and also how you create the maps for your project. So you might be knowing what is map. So map is nothing but a diagrammatic representation of any area or a flat surface. On a flat surface like lake, roads or landscape or villages or taluk, district, state. So it provides a information about a particular area or a feature which are present on the landscape. So in general terms, when you consider any map, it is nothing but a 3D representation of Earth surface in a 2D plain paper. So you will represent the different features with the different aspects. For example, you might be represent trees as a point, roads as a line, or lakes or the buildings as a polygon. So based on your requirement and based on the type of map you prepare, you will represent the different features. So the basic classification about the maps are, one is depends on the scale, another one is depends on the content. So oh, sorry, there is a issue. I just shared the screen. Sorry, there was an issue of the screen. Okay, so there are basically two classification of the maps. One is based on the scale, another one is content. So scale represents, for example, if you are looking at the village level, you might be use the cadastral maps or revenue maps. If you are looking at the entire landscape like forest or a desert, so you will go for the topographical maps. If you are looking at the entire India or the district or a particular country, you will go for the geographical map or atlas map. So with respect to the content, for example, if you are looking at a road or the railway network, you will use the content based maps, and also there are some maps which are specific to the cultural or as well as tourism. So in your childhood, you would have drawn a map representing the distance between your home to the school and also the different features present. So for example, here I have provided the each feature from the your house to school. You might have represented the road which you travel as a line feature, and there are different features like lake, temple, and as well as the trees. So these are the simple maps. So apart from that, there are different maps which represent the entire country or the world. And also, if you consider the political maps, you will represent the geographical area, particular geographical area as a particular one boundary, and the roads or the streams you will represent as a line feature. And also, if you further, if you look at the forest cover map, you represent the different various forest types as a different color. For example, here evergreen forest you will represent as a violet, and deciduous forest as a dark brown. Based on our purpose, we will use the different maps. So how to use these maps for your area of interest? For that, you need to use the Survey of India topo sheets, which is available for free of cost. You can look at those Survey of India topo sheet to understand the basic features. For example, you have downloaded the map of 1:50,000 scale for your area of interest. For example, this map belongs to Karnataka and with respect to Bangalore district, and each map will have specific number to identify which location it belongs to. For example, if it is Bangalore district, the map number is 57G12. So 57G11, 12, 13 will represent the entire Bangalore urban district, urban as well as rural district. For example, if you zoom across the corners, you will be able to see the coordinates. Coordinate represents the particular location, X and Y features, so that based on this feature, you will try to measure the distances or measure the what is the geographical coordinate for a particular feature. So apart from that, the map should contain title, number, scale, direction, legend. So title represents the location where which it belongs to. Number represents easy way to identify which area. Scale represents the to measure the distance between the objects. Direction represents the with respect to which direction this feature belongs to. And also legend explains the what are the features present in a particular map. So to download your area of interest map, you have to go to Survey of India website. So like this 1:50,000 scale map, you have the every 15 minutes by 15 minutes there is a division, and every 5 minutes by 5 minutes there is another division, so that you will be able to understand the coordinate. For example, if you zoom to one corner, this latitude is 13 degrees and 77 degrees 30 minutes. So if you move across the X direction, you will see that the latitude become 13 degree 5 minutes, latitude will become 13 degrees and longitude will be 77 degree 45 minutes. Okay. Likewise, you will able to quantify what is the coordinate for a particular feature. So to download this topo sheets from Survey of India, you need to provide your mobile number. They will send you the OTP. By providing the OTP, you will be able to download the 1:50,000 scale map for your area of interest. You can specify Bangalore urban or Bangalore rural, whichever district you want, you can download with respect to your area of interest. So to carry out the field work, for example, you are interested to map the trees in your ward or in your village or in your taluk or in your district, in a particular school campus. So you can carry out the field work. Or if you are interested to work on the lakes, you want to map the lake within your area, within your ward, you can go for this. So for collecting the field data, you require GPS. GPS help you to locate the coordinates. Apart from GPS, we can use AGPS. AGPS is within the mobile, you have the facility of collecting the coordinates, which is nothing but a assisted GPS. So it will be all the smartphone. It is a inbuilt function. So you can also use your smartphone as a device to collect the field data. So you will collect the different unique features which represents the entire your area of interest, and also you will try to map the features present on the particular lake. So you will try to collect the different features like point, line, polygon. For example, here I have looked at the Iisc campus, where I have mapped all the buildings and the roads as a line feature and the boundary as a polygon feature. So we can also collect the different points and connect it and make a polygon or line. So as I told earlier, GPS, which is mainly based on the satellite based system. So United States defense has launched the 24 satellites across the globe, so which try to provide the location details across the globe. At least we require 3 satellites for collecting the data. So apart from the GPS, since it is a costly equipment, we will go for the AGPS. AGPS is a very simple, which it uses the telephone signal to derive the location details. Even with your mobile also, you will get the signal based on your signal strength. The accuracy of the coordinates will be understood. So for collecting the data, you need to maintain this kind of field book. So in the field book, you should have minimum entry like latitude, longitude, and also the description about the feature which you collected. And also you can take the different photographs and provide the description so that you can explain those in your report. So for example, if you consider any field entry, I have considered the latitude, longitude, as well as the particular ID number. ID might be height of a tree, or if you are looking at the macrophytes, if you are looking at solid waste or soil parameters, or if you are looking at the bird, butterflies of a region and plants of a region, or water quality analysis you are carrying out. So you can specify these different features based on your requirement. So for apart from the carry out the field work, you can also map the features by sitting at home. One is by using the Google Earth or MapINR apps. So Google Earth, which is again available for free of cost. MapINR also available in your Google Play Store. Apart from that, there are web sources like KGS and Bhuvan. So if you are interested to download the Karnataka spatial data of your area of interest, you can use the KGS portal, where you can download the data up to village level. So Bhuvan also provides the various data sets you can explore, but for time being, I'm just taking you to the Google Earth as well as MapINR. So Google Earth, which is nothing but a virtual Earth representation of spatial data. So you can download it for free of cost. There is a Google Earth Pro version which supports in your desktop system, or in the mobiles you have the Earth app as a alternative for the Google Earth. So Earth app is nothing but the Google Earth only. They have given the name as Earth. So it stores the data in terms of KML. KML stands for keyhole markup language. This is the like word you will save .doc, or if you in Excel you might have saved .xls. Likewise, in Google Earth, you store the data in terms of KML file, keyhole markup language. So after installing Google Earth in your system, you might collect the features like point, line, polygon, so that you can represent your area of interest. For example, if you have opened the Google Earth, initially it will look like a Earth. There you have to search for your area of interest. For example, if I am interested in Bangalore, I just provide the name as Bangalore. So it will be highlighted and shown as a Bangalore. So after that, if you are interested particularly mapping a particular lake, so I have selected the Alsur lake. So to zoom to the Alsur lake, manually also you can do, or else you can go to search bar, type for the Alsur lake. So I have given the Alsur lake. So the Alsur lake will be zoomed here. Now my assignment is to map the Alsur lake. For carrying out this, I will just look at the toolbar. Here there are different features. One is adding the place mark, which is nothing but point feature. Adding a polygon to digitize the boundary. Adding the path to measure the distance between one point to other point, or you can create a road feature. So we use these three basic features. Apart from that, there is a option to show historical image. For example, if you are interested to look at what is the lake condition from 2000 to 2019, so you can do that. So first you will put the 2019 image, take the features, and if you click the show historical image, it will show like what was the status of the lake in 2005, 2000 up to 1972 it is there, but post 2000 you will get the very good clarity images. So that's where you can map the temporal changes within the lake. For example, there is no building in 2000. After 2008, there might be building has come. So you can also map that kind of differences also. So to add my assignment is to create a boundary. For creating a boundary, I will select the add polygon feature. I will provide the name of the feature. I will select the outline only, because if I put the filled polygon, then I cannot see the features. So that's where inside feature. So that's where I will just select the outline. Then I will provide the particular color. For example, if I put the black color, it won't be visible. So that's where I have given the color as red. I just click on the boundary. In your school days, you might have done that, tracing a image by keeping the white paper above it and tracing it. The same thing, just delineating the edges, and after completion you just click on the right click on your mouse, or just click OK. Here the image, the polygon will be created. Then under measurement tab, you can see what is the area of this particular feature. So under measurement tab, I have able to see that the area of the polygon is 45 hectares. So the lake area is 45 hectares. And also I can map the different features present here, like trees, some parks are there, some swimming pool, and also there is a treatment plant. So I want to map all those features. I will use the different symbols like add point option you will use, and provide the different colors also, so that you can differentiate between the one feature to other feature. Likewise, you will add all the polygon feature, add point features. Then after completing the mapping exercise, then you want to save it as image for your report or presentation. So for doing that, go to file, click save image option. Go to file, save image, so that it will ask you to provide the minimum inputs. Like whenever you create any map, it should have the title. So provide the title, then it should have the legend and direction as well as the scale bar. So these are the minimum requirement for any map creation. So you, after providing the particular features like name, the legend, it automatically loads, so no need to provide any details here. And north scale bar as well as north arrow, it will come automatically. After that, you can just save. Apart from that, you can also use the MapINR app, which is available for free of cost. You can use it in your mobile. So you can just download this app, which is also available for free of cost. If your initial point if you take, then after that, if there is no mobile signal also, you can carry out your field work. So at first point, you require to have the mobile good signal. Then after that, intermediate points, if there is no signal also, it will try to match the particular location. So after you can also create polygon, line, or features. Here also there is an option to geotag the photograph. For example, if you are taking any tree or a lake, you can also use the geotagging of this photograph. So for example, if I have mapped the sacred grove within Uttarakhand district, this is Karikan forest. I have created the different point features to prepare the boundary. After adding all the point feature, I just open in Google Earth and created a polygon. So even you can store the data which in MapINR, you can transfer it to Google Earth, and from Google Earth to MapINR you can transfer. That is the advantage of using these two apps. So apart from that, if your mobile is not supporting MapINR, you can use the GPS test to quantify the location coordinates. So I hope I try to cover the basic aspects about the mapping. It might helpful for you, and I request you to explore how to carry out this exercise. If you have any doubts, please write back to us. We will try to help you out. Okay. If you have any queries, please type in the comment section, and also subscribe to our channel so that you will be able to see more and more updates. We are also going to organize a series of webinars so that you will also get more information about those webinars. Thank you, one and all. Now I request Riju to explain about the how to identify the birds.
Thank you so much, Bharat. Let me just share my screen.
Yeah, please. So meanwhile, if you have any doubts, please post it in your comment section. Since Riju is trying to connect to his computer. Even you can post it in Kannada, we try to answer it. Riju, you have to click share screen. Riju, you have to click share screen. First open the PPT, then click share screen. Don't go to slideshow mode, just open the PPT, then come back to StreamYard and then click share mode, share screen.
It's not letting me click the share screen for some reason.
You want me to present from here? I have the
No, I think it works
yeah,
now.
I think I got it. Yeah, I got it.
Okay, are you able to see the screen now?
Yeah, we are able to see you. And also the screen.
Full screen, okay.
Yeah.
Great. Okay, once again, good morning to all of you. I hope you have found all the sessions that are ongoing very useful and informative. Now, let us understand some aspects about birds. The complete information and the detailed information about birds is already presented in the webinar, and it is archived in YouTube channel for EWRG Environmental Education IISc. So you can subscribe to the channel that you are streaming in right now and view that video at a later time. So now let us look at some aspects of birds and how we can understand them or how we can study them. So first we need to understand what are birds. So birds are feathered, winged, two-legged,
sorry, small interruption. There is a band coming in your screen that on the presentation. Can you just check which is why that?
Band,
there is a small band. White color band is coming. Yeah, that you can just delete it.
I don't know what it is.
Okay.
It's coming in all the screen.
Okay. Can I suggest one thing? Just close this again, start the share screen.
Yeah, I'll do that. Yeah.
Both together. He exited. Yeah, there is a question. Can we take topic zoonotic disease like COVID-19? Yes, you can take it. So to carry out any field work, you need to take a permission from your parents as well as your teachers, and don't venture without their knowledge. Please be informed to your teachers as well as your parents. Then only you go out and carry out any field work like going to any park or understanding the water quality in a lake. Please take your parents as well as teachers' help. Yeah, there is a question on can we take mapping as a topic? Yes, you can take. For example, you might be looking at different lakes of a particular area. Like if you are looking at entire lakes in Bangalore South, you can take that as a one topic. As I told earlier, you can also look at the time scale. So whether the 2005, what could be the lake status, and whether it is improved or deteriorated because of construction, or whether there is some improvement in the lake. That all the aspects you can cover. You can take the mapping as a exercise. I told him, but he says no, I will do it. Riju, can I share my screen so that you can speak from there? Your voice is not audible. Riju, your voice is not audible. You just unmute and mute. There is a question, sir, should we make a PPT presentation or A4 sheet? You need to prepare a PPT presentation and we will give an opportunity to present whether it is offline or online based on the situation of COVID. And also you may requested to submit the report also if possible. He's there is a issue with the connectivity. Time being, we will continue with Sudarshan. He will talk about macrophytes. Then we will ask Riju to continue.
Thank you, Bharat. Good morning, one and all. So today I will be discussing about macrophytes in aquatic ecosystem. So these macrophytes are aquatic plants. So coming to introduction of these macrophytes, these are plant species normally found growing in wetlands. So either in or on the water or where soils are flooded or saturated long enough for anaerobic condition to develop in the root zone. So these are the plants which will be growing in or submerged or on the water or in the shoreline of the lakes or other aquatic ecosystem where soils are saturated enough for anaerobic conditions. So where anaerobic conditions are there they will be growing. So when you split the word macrophyte, that is macro and phyte. So macro the meaning is seen with the naked eye or large, you can say. Phyte means it is a Greek word that is plant. So macrophyte word means like this. Then most often used to describe the plants living in wetlands or in truly aquatic environments like lakes. So these aquatic plants or macrophytes can be seen in the truly aquatic conditions like lakes or other water bodies. And an aquatic plant large enough to be seen by the naked eye, as that macro word says large, so it should be seen by naked eye. And the distribution of these macrophytes subject to two basic constraints. So two things will govern the growth of this macrophyte. That first one is the water must be shallow enough for light to reach the bottom. So the sunlight should reach the bottom, or plants growing in the bottom, so that they should carry out the photosynthesis. Then second one is physical strength should be enough so that it should hold the current of the water current. So flowing waters, the physical stability of the plant should be great enough to support the current of the water. Then we'll see what are the functions of these macrophytes in aquatic ecosystems. So these are some of the functions. Like these are green plants. So these constitute the base of food chain. So in the aquatic ecosystem, these form the algae and other algae or phytoplankton. These macrophytes also form the base of the food chain. Then through photosynthesis, they link the inorganic environment with biotic one. So the biotic component, which are the algae, zooplankton, or other living organisms like fish and all, will be connected to the inorganic component like soil and other things through these macrophytes, then provide habitat for other groups such as epiphytic bacteria, periphyton, macroinvertebrates, and fish. So for other organisms like fishes and other microorganisms, bacteria and all, they will provide the habitat. Then they influence water chemistry, acting as both nutrient sinks through uptake and as nutrient pumps, moving compounds from sediment to water column. So these will act as these macrophytes influence water chemistry because they will absorb all the nutrients and all other ionic components from the water and influence the water chemistry. So they will reduce the nutrients in the water or other ionic components. Then influence the hydrology and sediment regime of the wetlands. So also they will influence the sediment because the shoreline plants will be absorbing nutrients or other components from the sediment. So they will influence sediment also. Then one important point is they act as biological indicators of the health or ecological integrity of the wetland. So biological indicators means by looking through these components, that may be fish, algae, or other organisms. So macrophytes also come under this. So by looking this, we can say how healthy the ecosystem is, aquatic ecosystem is. So these are called as biological indicators. Then food and medicine value, then culture and economics. So these also play important role in culture, like lotus and all will be used in puja and all. And then economic importance. So many of the products of these aquatic plants will be used in day to daily use. Then medicinal values. So many of the plants will be used in the medicine and also as a food. These are some of the important functions of these aquatic macrophytes. Then when there is enough room for colonization and abundant nutrients, these macrophytes show a high growth rate. So you can see in Bangalore Lake, some of the lakes, when there is high amount of sewage and other nutrient component, they will flourish and grow in the entire aquatic body. Then they assimilate nutrients directly into their tissues. So the nutrients will be directly assimilated in the tissues, shoot or root of these macrophytes. Then due to this, they were used to solve eutrophic problem. So because they absorb all the nutrients and all, they will be used to solve the eutrophic problem. So in Bangalore lakes, it is used. So when it is highly nutrient rich, the water, these aquatic macrophytes will absorb, so they can solve the nutrient rich problem or eutrophic problem, you can say. Then which all will come under these macrophytes? Three major group will come. The Carels, that is order of Chlorophyta, the higher group of algae, they will belong to this group, and other vascular plants like Pteridophyta and Spermatophyta. So three groups will come under these macrophytes. So these three groups constitute the macrophytes. Then next comes the types of macrophytes. So totally 4 basic types you can see in these macrophytes. So first one is emergent macrophytes or tenagophytes, you can say, and we'll see one by one. The second one is free floating macrophytes, and third one is floating leaved macrophytes, and fourth one is submerged macrophytes. So we'll see one by one. So according to the zone where they occur, this classification is done. So first one is emergent macrophytes. So this word says, this will be emergent. So emerging from the shoreline or the lake system, aquatic ecosystem. So they occupy mainly the shoreline or the transition zone between the land and water. So in the shoreline, you can see these type of macrophytes, and they will be having rooted in the sediment or the saturated soil or in the anaerobic conditions. You can see in the roots, and shoots and leaves will be extended into the air, so that they will be carrying out the photosynthesis. And mostly angiosperms will belong to this group. So examples you can see in the pictures like typha. So typha and colocasia type of plants come under this group. So they will be mainly grown in the shoreline of the lakes or aquatic ecosystem. Second one is floating macrophytes. So as the word says, it will be freely floating in the water body or lakes. So leaves and stem float on the water, and the roots, if present, they will be freely hanging in the water. So they will be moving on the water surface with wind and water current. According to the water current, they will be moving here and there in the water body or lakes. So examples, common example you can see in the Bangalore lakes, that is water hyacinth and other species like lemna, then pistia and etc. So these are the second type of macrophytes. And third one is floating leaved macrophytes. So here the root will be in the sediment and leaves will be floating and shoot will be, and the connection are via stems or petioles. So they will be connected to the root via long petioles. So the tip of the leaves are called as petioles. So they will be connected to the root through that, and need to have some standing water, but limited by petiole or stem length. So commonly in the standing water they will be growing. So examples are like lilies, and common example is lotus, that is Nelumbo nucifera. So these constitute the third one, that is a floating leaved macrophytes. Then next one is submerged macrophytes. So the word says they will be totally submerged, or whole plant is underwater and no supporting tissues. So they will totally rely on turgor pressure and buoyancy to maintain erect form. So underwater leaves often finely dissected, but maybe laminar. So you can see in the picture the dissected type of leaves, or two types of, that is heterophyly leaves, will be seen in this type of macrophytes or aquatic plants. So some of the examples are like, common example is hydrilla and vallisneria, and some of the Myriophyllum and Potamogetum are the examples of these plants. So detailed examples we'll see in the next webinar, that is on 28th. I will be presenting. Then what are some of the adaptations these aquatic plants or macrophytes have? We'll see. First one is parenchyma. This parenchyma is that special type of tissues which is filled with air. So this will help in floating. So these macrophytes will be having this kind of tissues. Then dissected or segmented or waxy leaves. So the leaves will be finely dissected type. So as we've seen in the submerged examples, the leaves will be dissected or segmented. Then waxy leaves. So because they will be always underwater, in the water, the leaves will be containing waxy layer, wax type of layer. Then cuticle absent or thin layer of cuticle will be there in the leaves. So cuticle is also one of the layer. So it will be thin or it will be absent in the leaves of these aquatic macrophytes, and less rigid. The plant will be less rigid. Unlike terrestrial plants, they won't be much rigid, and light and feathery roots. The roots also, like terrestrial plants, they won't be much rigid. They will be light and feathery type of, as in water hyacinth you can see feathery roots you can be seen. And one more thing is less xylem. So xylem is again the tissues, that is type of tissue seen in the plants, that is water conducting tissues. So here, because they are in water, they will be absent, or if it is there also, it will be less in number. So next, what are the factors affecting the composition and diversity and growth of these macrophytes? So first important point is water depth. Water depth, according to the water depth, the different types of aquatic macrophytes will be growing. Then second one is water chemistry, that is nutrient content or other ionic content in the water. So according to that, different type of macrophytes can be seen. So if high nutrient is there, then only some type like floating type like water hyacinth can be seen. And if fresh or nutrient is less, some of the submerged can be seen. So according to the water chemistry, the different types of macrophytes will be growing in that aquatic ecosystem. Then flow rate. The flow rate of the water also influence the growth and composition of these macrophytes. Then also the sediment, because the emergent plants mainly rely on the nutrient of sediments. The sediment quality also will be influencing the growth of these macrophytes. So these are some of 4 factors which influence the growth of these or diversity of these macrophytes. Then coming to sampling, sampling of macrophyte depends on type of habit, type of vegetation, variation and distribution of vegetation, and aim of the study. What is your aim of the study? Depending on that, the type of sampling is done. So it is essential to first survey the area and decide about the suitable sampling method. So usually we will sample 50 centimeter by 50 centimeter or 1 meter quadrant area. By putting the quadrant, we will study what are the different types of macrophytes in that quadrant and entire lake or aquatic aquabody. For scientific studies, we will do usually this type of method. So this is the image showing how we will do quadrant sampling, 1 meter or 50 centimeter by 50 centimeter quadrant sampling. Then coming to identification, we'll identify using standard literatures. So I will be providing 2 technical reports. You can refer to that for your studies. Then vegetation mapping, mainly it is done to calculate the total macrophytic biomass of different species, or to understand the distribution pattern of vegetation, or to monitor the changes caused by a pollutant. So these 3 are the some of the things why we have to study these macrophytes. So one is to calculate the macrophytic biomass. So in lake, per meter square area, what is the biomass of these macrophytes, or to understand the distribution pattern, different type of species occurring in that lake, or to monitor the changes. So what is the change in macrophyte species due to the pollution or other sewage entry to the lake by a time period, during a time period. So this is why we will study these macrophytes. Then treatment for scientific study, we will wash, then dry. After that, we will take the fresh weight and we will dry it, and we will powder it, and we will see the nutrient component or other heavy metals in this macrophytes. So this is for scientific study. We will study. We use this common procedure or standard procedure. Then these are the 2 reference books we can refer. So already TVS showed this, that ETR 77, that is environment monitoring in the neighborhood. We have given the aquatic about aquatic ecosystem and how to sample the water, and also about macrophytes. And one more is macrophytes of Bangalore wetlands. So by looking these 2, you can record if you are studying a lake or wetland, you can record the whatever macrophytes present in that wetland or lake. Thank you. Yeah, these reports like technical report 77 and this technical report 126 will be available in our web page online. So if you just type keyword like this, you can get, or if you go to our websites, it is you can see in wetland sections. Okay. So thank you, one and all.
Thank you, Sudarshan. Now we will move on to the next session by Rijula. So I request Riju to continue. Yes.
Can you hear me now, Bharat?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, you can just share the screen so that we can.
Okay. You can see my screen, right?
I can see the screen, but it has become so small. I think you have to open PPT, then you have to share the screen. You have to share the screen of PPT. Add a share window is there, second option.
Now can you see?
Yeah, now I can see. Yeah, go to full screen mode. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you, Bharat. Yeah. My sincere apologies to all of you for some technical glitches that happened earlier. So let us continue with today's session on birds. So to understand what are birds, these are some of the features that you need to keep in mind. First thing, they are feathered. They have 2 wings, 2 legs. They are warm-blooded just like us, and they lay hard-shelled eggs. And they are vertebrates with beak or bill. Now, in these things that you can see on your screen, there are three main things that are very unique only to the birds. One is the feathers, which no other organism in the entire animal kingdom has. Then the beak or the bill, because they have the modified jaw, which is in the form of a beak. Unlike us, we have a jaw. Okay, and the other thing is they are the only creatures that lay hard-shelled eggs. Okay, there are a lot of other organisms that lay eggs, but none of them lay hard-shelled eggs. That is calcified eggs. These are the only organisms that lay hard-shelled eggs. Now we all know that the birds evolved from dinosaurs, and once they evolved and they developed wings, they started moving on to different places which otherwise was not accessible for them. So they moved far off to various islands, to different types of habitats. So let us look at the different habitats that they would have visited. There are a total of 9,702 species classified as of now, as of today. Some of them are extinct, which has been removed from the list, and also some are in dispute where people claim that they have seen but no evidence to prove it. So with evidence and with confirmation, there are 9,702 different species of birds that are recorded so far. So coming to the habitats, the first one is the wooded forest, wherein you get all these different types of forest, what you have studied, that is evergreen, semi-evergreen, moist deciduous, dry deciduous, and alpine forest. All these come under wooded forest. Then the next one is the grasslands. This is a very important ecosystem or a habitat by itself. A lot of times conservationists, or in the name of conservation, people tend to plant trees in grasslands, and which eventually will destroy the grassland habitat. So when we are planning any conservation activities, we need to keep in mind that grassland is also an ecosystem, and there are a lot of organisms which are specifically adapted to survive in those particular habitats. Then we have rocky outcrops, wherein a lot of open boulders can be seen across the city, and you will be able to see a lot of birds here which are well adapted to nest on the cliffs or for hunting the reptiles that live in this region. Then one of the most productive ecosystems or a habitat in the terrestrial region is the wetlands, wherein you find a lot of different types of organisms living here. And since birds consume a variety of organisms or variety of food material, they can be seen in the wetlands in abundance. Then we also find birds in mountain, that is high altitude mountains like the Himalayas. We are able to see mountains even though there is less oxygen there and the air is very thin. They are able to survive there with ease. And then there are deserts. We have cold desert and the hot deserts. So we can find birds in both the types of deserts. And the last habitat is the oceans and the seas, the open oceans and the seas. We have a group of birds that live 24/7, 365 days in the midwaters. And they only come to the land, only the breeding pairs come to the land to lay their eggs and raise their young ones. Otherwise, they spend all their time in the midwaters. So now I'm sure all of you would have enjoyed seeing birds around you, and you would have enjoyed their calls, their different colors or behaviors. But sometimes it can get frustrating when you try to find the name of it. You are not able to identify the bird exactly what species it is. So in order to do that, you need to become familiar with some certain general aspects of it. That is their shape, their color, what kind of behavior you are seeing. All these needs to be observed. And there are some people who come to me and say they want to see a particular species and they have been looking for it from years and they have not found it. The main reason could be that they don't know where to look for it, because some of the birds are so specific to their habitat that they cannot be found anywhere else. So you need to understand what type of habitat these birds live in to identify or to find them in the nature. One thing you need to remember when it comes to the names of the birds is all the birds have been given names based on their physical appearance. So most of the birds, like for example, one of the common birds that you can see in Bangalore is red-whiskered bulbul. So it belongs to bulbul family and it has red color in the whisker region. That is why it is called red-whiskered bulbul. Similarly, the what you call parrot, that is basically the rose-ringed parakeet. It's called so because the males have a rose color ring around its neck. So that's why it's called rose-ringed. and it belongs to parakeet family. So it's called rose-ringed parakeet. Like this, majority of the birds have been given names on their physical appearance. So when you observe the bird properly, you can identify what is their key characteristics or key feature. And if you find out the name of it, you will be able to remember it easily. And every time you see that bird, it automatically comes to your mind. So that's the best way to remember names of the birds. And to find out the names, these are some of the techniques that you can use. First is when you see a bird, identify its size, whether it is similar to sparrow, myna, crow, or eagle. These are the 4 different sizes that we generally compare it with. So you can use this to compare the size of the bird that you have seen. Then you can tell us what is the major color and the minor color that was on it. And we will be able to identify what kind of bird it is. If you're able to capture a photograph, nothing like it, that makes it very easy for us. But when you do not have a camera or you have a binoculars, you can observe them clearly and then you can describe it this way. The next thing you need to observe is the type of beak that the bird has, because every bird has a specialized beak based on what its food are. Say for example, in this slide, what you can see, if you look at the surface skimming beak, that particular group of birds which have beaks like that like to eat fish but do not like to get their body wet. So what they do, they have adapted their beak in such a way that the lower beak is longer, that is the lower mandible, which is longer than the upper beak. Okay, so they fly right above the water, inserting only the lower beak into the water. So any fish that is there in the surface will slide directly into its mouth. Similarly, all the birds' beaks that you see are specialized in certain activities to consume their food. So by observing their beak size, beak shapes and size, you will be able to understand what they eat. Next is their feet adaptations. They have different types of feet adaptations undergone based on which part of the forest or the canopy or a habitat that they live in and what are their activities. Now, for example, in this slide, on the right side, you can see an eagle's claws. Now, the feet of an eagle, if you see, when compared to the other claws, the digits are slightly bulkier. You can see that it's more heavier. Okay, this is mainly to carry heavy weight, that is, their prey animals. It could be a fish, it could be another mammal, rodent, anything, a snake. So each feet type is also designed specifically to their activities and where they live. So based on that, we will be able to tell what kind of habitat they are inhabiting. Then the final adaptations is that the wing adaptations. Not always you get to see a bird sitting in one place or standing in one place. So you might see them flying over you when you are observing from your window, balcony, or terrace. So that time, with the wing shape, you will be able to narrow down the species and identify which group the bird belongs to. And from that, you can look for images through various sites and then identify what species you have seen. While observing birds, what you need to keep in mind is some of the birds, the males and the female look identical. There is no difference. And in some birds, they look similar, but the males will be more vibrant when compared to the female. Okay, but in certain species, like the Asian quail, which is seen on the screen, the male and the female will look very different. They will look like 2 different species itself. But then they are same species. It's just that there is sexual dimorphism in the birds. Now this is one another example wherein a bird which looks in one manner during the non-breeding season looks slightly different or completely different in the breeding season. Now this is a group of migratory birds called rosy starlings. Now towards the right, what you see are the non-breeding format, and there are 2 birds which has extra feathers on their head. That is how the males turn in the breeding season. In the non-breeding season, the male and the female will look similar. This is another example of a cattle egret. On the left side, what you see is the actual non-breeding plumage, that is the format that it has. During the breeding season, the males will transform themselves to how you can see it in the right side. Okay, so it's important to understand all these things, or else we might tend to think that they are some other species. Then when you start observing birds, apart from identification, you will be exposed to a lot of beautiful behaviors. Okay, it could be feeding, nesting, hunting, courtship behavior, like they are trying to impress their mates, and so on and so forth. So these behaviors can be observed very well. When it comes to migration, whenever we hear the term migration, we always relate it to birds, because bird migration have been studied from almost a century. So it's a very fascinating term, or very fascinating behavior that we can see when it comes to birds. So in Bangalore also, you will be able to see plenty of migratory birds that visit right after September. They start visiting right from mid-September, and up to February, you can see a lot of migratory birds. So I urge you to observe the birds from your windows or balconies or terrace if possible, and identify what are the birds that are seen around your homes and document them. And then we can sort out if they are resident birds or migratory birds. Now, why we need to study birds is because they are placed at various levels of the trophic web, which means they can consume directly from plants, or they can consume insects, they can consume reptiles, rodents, and things like that, or other birds itself. So they will be placed at different levels of the trophic web. Now, if any interruption or any disturbance is there in a particular ecosystem, we will be able to identify that by looking at the birds and their population. Next is biological control. Birds help in biological control of their prey species. That is, for example, if you have some plants or crops in your terrace, and lot of insects come and start eating the leaves, if there are birds around, insectivorous birds, they will come and eat those insects and control their population so that your plants can survive. So that is why we study birds as friends of farmers. Then, like I said, some birds feed on nectar. So when they are feeding on nectar, they in turn pollinate the flowers, so help in pollination. And also, a lot of birds are frugivores, which means they eat fruits. So when they eat fruits, they disperse the seeds to far off places. That is why it is said that birds are the best farmers of the forest. They build one of the best efficient forest ecosystems in the world. So they are very much important for us, and they provide a lot of good services for us by maintaining the forest in a healthy manner. Then several bird species are known as keystone. That is, keystone species is where several other organisms are dependent on birds. With regards to birds, you find a lot of plants that are dependent on birds. Okay, like for example, the state tree of Karnataka, which is the sandalwood tree, it cannot survive if there are no birds, because the fruits are eaten by the birds and the inner seed is excreted. Before this, during the process of digestion, the seed has a coating which is processed through the digestive juices of the bird. And only after that, the seed is capable of germinating. So you can imagine that without the birds, there is no sandalwood tree. So that is why we call birds as keystone species for many plants. Then birds are studied as bioindicators across the globe. Like I said, if there is any disturbance in an ecosystem, we will be able to identify that easily by looking at the birds and their population. So they are studied as indicator species, biological indicators. Now, when you try to identify birds on the field, that is, it could be from your terrace, balcony, or window, or if you have a park nearby and you have access to it, if you go for morning walks or things like that, you will be able to identify the birds and you can document them using this particular format. Then, if you are not able to go outside, and if you are going to do your project based on secondary data, Deepti ma'am has already shared a lot of websites from where you can collect data. These are some of the other websites from where you can collect the data. Now, I'm not going into all the databases. I'll just go into one to show you or give you an idea of how you can extract the data. So I will be looking at iNaturalist. When you go to iNaturalist.org, this is the homepage that you will be landing on. Once you land here, at the top you will get the option to explore. So when you click on explore, you will get this particular screen where it asks you to enter the species or the location. Now, since you are looking for birds, you can just type in birds and the location as Bangalore. When you put it, it will show up like this. So in the entire Bangalore area, there have been reports of 194 different species. Okay, now when you click on the species option there, it will show you photographic images with its common name and scientific name and how many times it has been observed. Okay, so this gives you a complete checklist of 194 species of Bangalore. Similarly, for your area, you can narrow down the search and then find the bird species which have been reported from your area. Okay, now when you move on, when you click on one of the species image, it will show up like this, wherein you get multiple images of that particular species with a graph which shows in what months the observation have been higher or lower. So you can make use of this data and see if it is useful for your project and extract it. Then geographical distribution also can be seen when you scroll down. It shows across the globe where all this bird is found. So if you are looking to expand your study, not only in Bangalore, but you want to do it in Asia or the entire world, then you can use this data and extract that information. Then if you click on the taxonomy tab, it will give you the scientific classification details of the entire thing and synonyms, that is the other names. There could be different common names for one particular species in different countries. So it will give you all the names that are recorded so far. And then at the end, you have similar species tab. When you click on it, you will get all the other bird species which look similar to the one that you're searching for. So in case there is any confusion that it might be a black kite or not, then when you look at similar species, you will get all these images and you will be able to compare very easily. Okay, now since G.R. Rao sir could not be here, so I am just briefly touching upon the parts of plants also. So birds we have concluded. Now coming to plants, when you start identifying plants, Deepthi ma'am has already shared a lot of links for you to refer. So whenever you are making a checklist or grouping the plants, please make sure that you do according to this, wherein you identify grass separately, climbers and creepers separately, herbs, shrubs and trees accordingly. When you try to identify plants, there are a few things that you need to keep in mind. One is their leaf shape. So identify what type of leaves they are, and you will be able to narrow down the family and identify the plant species. Similarly, you can also identify the flower. If it is a flowering plant and you can see the flowers, you will be able to identify which type of flower it is and identify the plant very easily. Or if it is fruiting also, it becomes very easy to identify. So these are some of the links where you can get information about the Indian plants. And the last three ones, the Google Lens, PlantNet and Plant Lens, are three applications for your Android and iOS, wherein you can take a photograph of the plant, a proper photograph, and it will be able to tell you what plant it is. Not exactly the full plant, but the leaf shape or the flower or the fruit, if you photograph it, it will be able to tell you what plant or fruit or flower it is. So I thank all of you for patiently listening to me. I hope the information that I have shared is useful for you. So I thank all of you for listening, and I thank the organizing committee of Lake 2020 and Dr. T.V. Ramachandra sir for giving me this opportunity. I wish you all the best for doing your projects and look forward to see you all in October. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Riju. Now we will have Chaturved's session.
Thank you, Bharat.
Yeah. Chaturved, can you just unmute your mic and start?
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, fine. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yes, good morning all. You have learned birds as biological indicators, and now let us learn about butterflies, how they are ecological important and why we have to study. And we all know all butterflies are insects, but not all insects are butterflies. Hence, butterflies and moths are very unique compared to other insects. Next slide. All insects have, three body segments, that is head, thorax and abdomen. And all insects will have 6 legs and 2 antennae. This makes an insect. Next slide. 90% of animal kingdom consists of insects. So insects are most diverse organism, and you can see majority of the insects. Coming to butterflies, butterflies and moths are the only insects to have scales on their wings, and which is why they are very colorful and very attractive. Next slide. And insects are the only invertebrates which are able to fly. That makes very unique. Apart from whatever you see, which are flying as birds, then bats, and next is insects. Butterflies belong to order called Lepidoptera. In Greek, lepis means scales, ptera means wings. So butterflies and moths are the only scaly in winged insects. Next slide. Moths and butterflies are very colorful. It's just that we don't observe moths because they are nocturnal. There are also few day flying moths and also butterflies which are active during dawn and dusk. The first and foremost difference between butterfly and the moths is their antennae. In the top row, you can see all the moths has varied antennae. Antennae might be backwards or sideways. Whereas in all the bottom row, you can see all the butterfly images. The antenna is clubbed and pointed upwards. Next slide. If you have a close-up look up, you can see moths antennae is like hairy, feathery. It is feathered both the sides or single side. Whereas for butterflies, it is clubbed at the tip. Next slide. This is a basic difference between butterflies and moths. Coming to body and resting position, butterflies can spread their wings or fold their wings, whereas moths can form this kind of jet shape or plane shape or A shape format when resting position. Hence, you can differentiate butterflies and moths very easily. Next slide. And also, few moths have different irregular, unique pattern. You can see all fruit perching moths in this slide, which has very irregular shape of wing pattern. Next slide. Let's see, which are the longest butterflies and longest moths. And this white witch moth is the longest lepidopteran. Next slide. And this is world's largest atlas moth, world's largest moth. Even in Karnataka it is seen, even in Bangalore also you can see. Next slide. And this is beautiful Indian moon moth, again seen in Bangalore and parts of Karnataka. Next slide. Coming to butterflies, world's largest butterfly is Queen Alexandra birdwing, and India's largest butterfly is southern birdwing. This is seen in few parts of Bangalore. Why am I giving you size comparison? As just these things help you to identify and differentiate spiders. And the smallest spider of India is grass jewel. Sorry, smallest butterfly. Next slide. How to observe butterflies? How to document? It's not that catching. You'll have to observe very keen. You should have very keen eyes to observe small things in nature. Next slide. Once you start observing, you can see beautiful things flying around you. Complete butterflies and moths both undergo a complete life cycle, which means metamorphosis. They have 4 different stages: egg, caterpillar, pupa, and adult. So you can start documenting what all caterpillars you see, butterflies you see. Next slide. 4 different stages occupy consume different amount of time for the transformation and development. Caterpillar is the only growing stage because it has to feed nicely. And next slide. And pupal stage is developmental stage. So it is necessary that you observe butterflies. If you see 2 different butterflies in same color, small yellow color and big yellow, they are 2 different species, because completely developed butterfly is coming out from its pupa. Next slide. Once you start observing, you can see their different behaviors. Next slide. First and foremost is feeding, and insects have strictly liquid diet compared to butterflies and moths, because they don't have mouth parts or jaws like other insects. So it is only butterflies and moths completely dependent on liquid diet. Nectar source is primary food source, then sweat, salt, you can see in different images. Even they also feed on animal dung, fruit waste, plant sap. Next slide. Basking. All insects are cold-blooded, hence even butterflies also need sunrays to generate the body temperature and to start its activity. Next slide. Local movements. Now, in this season, you can see few blue tigers, dark blue tigers, common crows, butterflies are flying in large numbers. They are, migrating from Western Ghats to Eastern Ghats. You can also check, document. Next slide. Mud puddling. Several, butterflies gather on wet sand patches to absorb minerals from the wet sand. This also you can observe. Next slide. Migration. In India, it is only small local movement and migrations are seen. Whereas worldwide, butterflies also known for migrate to a longer distance. Next slide. Threats to life. There are few parasitic wasps, few insectivorous birds which mainly feed on caterpillars and butterflies. Next slide. And even you can see here spider is feeding on a butterfly, and even insectivorous plant is also feeding on butterfly. And how can they escape threats? What are the adaptations? First and foremost is the camouflage. You can see different caterpillars on the same leaf pattern they have. The second one is a common barren caterpillar which has mango leaf pattern. Third is castor plant, and the castor butterfly caterpillar has a castor leaf margin. And pupa is like a small twig, and different butterflies have different wing shapes like leaf, and eye-like markings are there. It is just to fool smaller organisms to just escape its threats from birds, lizards, and other predatory insects and spiders. Next slide. Association with ants. Small butterflies like blues, they have particular association with ants where there is a mutual symbiotic relationship is seen. Next slide. Field notes. How to observe butterflies. Document. Majority of the Bangalore butterflies or Karnataka butterflies, their name is because of the color and appearance. First, you should note down which color is the butterfly. And next is wing pattern, whether dots are there, spots are there, stripes are there, or owl-like markings. And next is size. As I said, you can just compare size of a butterfly with your fingernail, small, medium, large, and butterflies will never grow. So if you see a two different color butterflies or two same butterflies in different size, they are different species. Next slide. Once you start observing all this, their characters, you can just categorize into different families. Only 6 families are there. Out of 6 families, all the large ones, which you see majorly, are like swallowtails. Because of the extra projection on their lower wings, they are called as swallowtail. Few large butterflies may or may not have tail, like you can see different swallowtail butterflies here. So all are large size butterflies. Next slide. Any butterflies with white color and yellow color, they belongs to white and yellow family. So you can make out whichever you see white colors and yellow colors, they belongs to this family with different patches. Next slide. And all the small ones you can categorize as blues. Majority, when they open their wings, they have blue shade or purple, violet, and other shades of silver. And all the small also have small crown spots or extra tail like projection which looks like antenna. That is how they escape their threats. Also, next slide. After these 3 colorful families, next we have small skipper butterflies. The skipper names suggest they are jumping and hopping flight. They also form this A or jet shaped plane like this, and they spread completely like flat. If not, they fold and form a shape. Hence, it is skippers. Next slide. Only one species is seen in Bangalore, that is double-banded Judy. The only difference between this butterfly and other families is that this butterfly cannot close its wing completely. There's a gap in between and it is closing. And this is also very shy butterfly. It will be great if you can document this in and around your patch. Next slide. And the last family is very highly distributed, globally distributed family, brush-footed. The front 2 legs are modified as brush-like. Hence the family name. You can see different colors and different sizes here. They vary from medium size to large size with different colors and markings. So apart from other colors, if you see any other color, you can categorize into brush-footed butterflies. Next slide. Diversification. Globally, we have 18,000 plus butterflies. In Indian region, it is 1,504. Bangalore, it is my count 153. From today, what is number of butterfly species seen from your area? You should start documenting it. Next slide. Materials required for documenting is simple. Field guides are available, manuals are available. Even we'll also share the few educational materials which we are designing for students with respect to documenting and observing butterflies. You can collect dead ones, and you don't need to kill or catch a butterfly and kill it. If you find some dead wings or broken wings, you can collect. Looking at the wing pattern, we can identify and you can name it. Next, camera. We all are using our parents' smartphones. You use this camera just to click a butterfly photo and identify. And next, how to document is date, time,
Hello,
location, and
Chaturved?
weather. Yes.
Yeah.
Can you
So
hear me?
continue. Yes.
Huh. Coming to documentation format, date, time, location, and weather condition are very important for any biodiversity research program. For these 4 parameters, you'll have to keep in your mind, because a date, season also matters, and location also matters. What are the observations? And common name, family, individual count, activity characteristics, you can just note down for your reference. How is the wing pattern look like, and what is the color, whether it is flying above the tree level or very close to ground. Coming to why butterflies are important. They are the best pollinators. That is why they are also ecologically very valuable organisms. 70% of food what we eat are pollinated by insects, and butterflies and moths are also major pollinators after honeybees. And insects are studied as indicators, as birds also studied as biological indicators. Even insects are also studied as indicators. If you see good number of dragonflies and damselflies, we can see there's a water body. If you see good number of kids, we can conclude there's a pollution and there's a contaminated water. Same way, if you see good number of butterflies and moths, we can see that good number of flowering plants are there, and there's a host plant. All plants what you plant cannot attract butterflies. Certain plants which are selected by moths and plants to lay eggs, we call them as host plant. And that is why if you plant all the host plants, you can attract butterflies. Next slide. You will be wondering if we have designed a solar panel looking after butterfly scales. That entire solar panel is redesigned and aligned after looking at butterfly scales. So hence they are technologically very important too. Next slide. And there are also various display technologies modified, discovered, invented, and still research is happening looking at butterfly scales. You can see different display technologies are latest Android phones, Amazon Kindle reader. All these technologies are copied and mimicked looking at butterfly scales. Hence you are able to use your Kindle reader or other new smartphones even in sunlight. Earlier you would have felt little difficult to use in sunlight. Now all those technologies is changing, and there is always an improvement. All that is because looking after butterfly scales. Next slide. There's a saying, don't chase butterflies, mend your garden. During COVID time, during lockdown, if you are not able to go out, so you can just start attracting butterflies. And the way to attract butterflies is very simple. Next slide. You just plant few host plants and you can attract butterflies. And there are various butterfly parks. So that is the first step towards conservation. Next slide. And this is one live example, Samilan Shetty's Butterfly Park, which is in Belwai, Moodbidre region. Next slide. Similarly, we also have one open butterfly garden in Alva's campus. Next slide. You can also design your own butterfly garden in your terrace or in your school campus or in your balcony in your house, wherever there is a place. These are the list of host plants. As I said, butterflies and moths are the best botanists. You plant its host plant, a lime butterfly will search for its host plant, which is lime plant, and come and lay eggs. Even if you have aloe vera or rose or tulsi, no need to worry, it will not destroy your other products. It will only lay eggs on specific host plant, and the caterpillar will feed only on the host plant. So that is why we'll have to plant more and more host plants, and these are the few commonly available list. Even you can grow in your terrace also, like if you are staying in second floor, third floor, even from a small pot to plot, you can design your butterfly garden. Next slide. After planting all these host plants, there are few major steps, and this is proof that butterflies are seen. You can see caterpillars.
Hello. Hello. So there is some technical error. So it is the final slide. He tried to explain, don't kill the caterpillars and complain there is no butterfly. Avoid pesticide and insecticide for gardening. So if you reduce the pesticides, you can see the butterflies visiting your garden. And encourage the host plants, whatever the list he has shown earlier, like champak tree or lemon tree, and also the curry leaves tree. So you can also have the butterflies in your garden. So if you have any further doubts, you can write to chaturvedshed@gmail.com with the mobile number 97420907118. So you can also contact him. There is a exclusive video on know your butterflies and also the biomimicry of butterflies, which is available in YouTube. So Deepthi has already shared the link. Please do subscribe so that you will came to know which are the videos available in your channel. Thank you, Chaturved, for your valuable presentation. Now I request Cincy to continue the aquatic ecosystem presentation.
Good afternoon, everybody. Now I will discuss on Know Your Lakes. Know Your Lakes means we wanted to understand water quality and aquatic biodiversity. Now I will discuss on water quality. Aslaba will discuss on plankton like phytoplankton and zooplankton, fish and macrophyte. Water quality is the physical, chemical and biological characteristics of water. Water pollution means changes in water quality that can harm organisms or make water unfit for human uses. The contamination mainly because of chemicals. For example, livestock waste, pesticides from agriculture field, waste disposal nearby water body, pollution caused by car washing, household sewage, factory or industrial waste will increases pollution load, which will affect the aquatic biodiversity. Some important sources of water pollution like the industrial discharge of chemical waste, discharge of untreated sewage, runoff containing pesticides or fertilizers from agriculture field, disposal of various solid waste, mining activities, then household waste, animal waste. This all the activity will affect the water quality. We know that water is a colorless, odorless liquid. Here, the clear water, turbid water, nutrient rich water. Clear water will be transparent. Due to the rainwater runoff and other waste, water become more turbid. If water is nutrient rich, algal blooms occurs. Here you can see the green color, that is algae. Water quality analysis involves monitoring of different physicochemical parameters like temperature, dissolved oxygen, nutrient like N and P, pH, electrical conductivity, TDS, potassium, sodium, free CO2, chemical oxygen demand, hardness, biochemical oxygen demand. This is your Presidency school. Near to your school, lot of lakes are there. One is Madiwala Lake, Agara, then Garve Bhavibalya, then Arekere, Puttenahalli, Sariki. This is Aecs school. In near to your school also, the different lakes like Arekere Lake, Hulimavu Lake, Ashya Nagara Lake, Achaya Nagara Lake, then Krishna Nagar Lake, Puttenahalli, Chunchunkatta Lake. Before going to field, we wanted to arrange chemical meters, bottles for required for our field work. In 2018, we have trained schools students. Some of the parameters we wanted to do in the field, that is the on-site parameters, that is temperature, dissolved oxygen, pH, electrical conductivity, TDS. These are the unstable parameters, so you should do in the field itself. The temperature will vary with the time and different seasons also. The dissolved oxygen will increase with the photosynthetic activity. pH will tell about the alkaline and acidic conditions also. In pH is 7, that means neutral. pH is more than 7, that means alkaline condition, and pH is less than 7, that means acidic condition. Then electrical conductivity, the water has ability to conduct electricity because of the positive and negative charged ions in the water. TDS means total dissolved solids. It represents the total concentration of dissolved substances in the water. Then biochemical oxygen demand and the chemical oxygen demand will tell about organic pollution, the nutrients like nitrogen and phosphate. Because of nitrogen and phosphate, the algal blooms and massive growth of macrophyte occurs. Then the ionic components like hardness, sodium, potassium, chloride, calcium, magnesium, etc. If water is polluted, this all the parameters will increases. The standard method for water quality analysis, the on-site parameters like water temperature, we can use the thermometer, then pH meter, then the electrical conductivity, you can use the EC meter, and TDS, you can use the TDS meter. Then other parameters, you can use the method with the references. This is Inland Surface Water Standards given by CPCB. CPCB means Central Pollution Control Board. They have divided as a 5 different classes: Class A, Class B, Class C, Class D, and Class E. After your water quality experiment, you can compare your values with the standards. Then you can understand this water we can use for the drinking purpose or fish culture, irrigation, or industrial purposes. Then other standard, BIS standards, they have also given the desirable and permissible limits also. You can use this also for your study. Then more information, you can just Google it, that EWRG CS IIC Bangalore. Then you will get this web page. In that wetland session, research paper session is there. Then you just click on that research paper section. Then you will get all the published articles like diatoms, phytoplankton, zooplankton, fish, water, etc. Then these are the 2 links. You can use this one. Then we have 2 workbook. One is the My Village Biodiversity. This is the link. And another one is the Environmental Monitoring in the Neighborhood. That is this link. You can download these two books. And in these two books will give the more information about the water quality, then mapping, then biodiversity, etc. Thank you. Now I will give to Asilaba.
So thank you, Sinsi. So I am Asilaba KS. I will be talking about know your aquatic life forms. So basically, I will discuss on the different biotic components in the aquatic ecosystem. So Sinsi has already talked about physicochemical parameters. So I will be talking about the biological parameters. So as in terrestrial ecosystem, in aquatic ecosystem also we have aquatic food chain. So in aquatic food chain, firstly it is algae is there as a primary producer. They have the ability to photosynthesize and they provide food for other zooplankton, fishes, etc. So algae is a primary producer. This algae is eaten up by zooplanktons. So zooplankton is the primary consumer and zooplanktons are eaten up by small fishes and then they are the secondary consumers. And small fishes are eaten up by bigger fishes and water birds, they are the tertiary consumers. Also, you have benthivorous fishes which dominate at the bottom of the lakes. So these will bioturbate the sediments and then all the nutrients will get back into the water. So that nutrients are again taken up by algae and likewise this whole cycle repeats. So this means that there's always a material and energy transfer in the food chain. So I will be talking about planktons first. Planktons are microscopic organisms. Both it can be like plant-like organism or else an animal-like organism, and they are freely floating in water. These planktons we cannot see through our naked eye. We have to use microscope. So only through microscope you can find out the phytoplankton and the zooplankton. So phytoplankton, as the name suggests, phyto means plant. So these phytoplanktons are like plants. They have the chlorophyll content. They have the ability to photosynthesize and these provide food for other organisms in the food chain. And in case of zooplankton, they are, zoo means animal-like. So zooplanktons are animal-like organism which eats upon algae and other detritus, etc. and then serve as food for other higher organisms like fish, birds, etc. So these two planktons, that is phytoplankton and zooplankton, they react very rapidly to the ecological changes. Means if there is any water pollution, the phytoplankton and the zooplankton diversity will be affected. So they are called the indicators, bioindicators of lakes. So this monitoring of these two, phytoplankton and zooplankton, helps in biomonitoring of lakes. Why? Because they have very short life cycle and they have higher rate of reproduction. So with the help of phytoplankton and zooplankton, we can monitor the lakes. So how do we collect all this plankton, both phytoplankton and the zooplankton? So we have to use a plankton net for collecting this plankton. So here through this plankton net, we have to pour about 50 liters of water and then at the bottom, all this plankton will be collected. Then this planktons we have to transfer to a sampling bottle and then we have to go to the laboratory and then should do a microscopic examination. So only through microscope we can see this phytoplankton and zooplankton. Then you have to draw the sketches as you would have seen in TVS's presentation. Then you have to draw the sketches and then identify it according to the standard textbooks and also you can refer our workbooks. So where do algae live? Algae can be found in marine habitats. It can be like seaweeds. Seaweeds are higher algae and also there are phytoplanktons. In case of freshwater habitats, you can see phytoplankton in streams, rivers, lakes and ponds. And also algae is present in terrestrial habitats. Means algae, if it is attached to stone walls, tree barks, leaves, lichen, snow, then they are the terrestrial habitats and there also algae will be found. If you take this scratch this and look under the microscope, you can see algae. So how algae looks like? So algae can be unicellular algae. They are the single cell algae like Chlamydomonas and this is Chlorella vulgaris. So this unicellular algae means these they have only single cell, and that single cell performs all the functions. In case of colonies, lot of cells, they combine together and form colonies, like in microcystis species. Then also you can see filamentous or algae. They are rod-shaped algae like Oscillatoria, Lyngbia, Cladophora, etc. And there can be multicellular algae. Multicellular means they have multiple cells in them, and each and every cell, they perform different specialized functions. So these are the commonly found algae groups in lakes. So algae can be like bacillophytes. They are actually brown color or yellowish in color. They can be round shaped, that is centric diatoms, or it can be pinnate forms like Nitsia, then Pinularia, etc. Then euglenophytes, for example, is Euglena species and also Factor species. So these two, Euglena and Factors, is mainly found in organically polluted lakes. In case of Cyanophyta is also there, that is blue-green algae. So as the name suggests, it looks like blue-green itself. So one example is Merismopedia, then Microcystis, etc. Then another set is chlorophytes. They are green algae. So example is Pediastrum, then Cenidesmus, Clostridium, etc. So by looking at its color and its features, all these algae can be identified. So basically this color difference is because of the different photosynthetic pigments present in them. So when you look under microscope, you can make sketches and then identify based on its characteristics. So these are some algae found in clean water. So only in clean water these type of algae can exist. If water is polluted, these algae will die off, and then another set of algae comes in. And so this is polluted water algae. So these type of algae is present only in polluted water. So they dominate in polluted waters, and then other organisms which are less pollution tolerant will die off. Likewise, there can be a change in the algae composition due to the water quality. So the next species is the next one is zooplankton. So zooplankton, I have already told, they are animal-like organism, and their distribution is primarily determined by water currents and mixing. So they are animal-like. They have a mouth, they have digestive system, then they have excretory pore, etc. So they are animal-like. They are actually food for fishes and invertebrate predators, and actually the zooplanktons, they eat upon algae, bacteria, protozoa, and other invertebrates. So next is fishes. Fishes are also good indicators of water quality and assess the health of ecosystem. So fish eats upon aquatic insects, zooplankton, fishes, plants, and other fishes. Small fishes are eaten up by bigger fishes. So these fishes, they are eaten up by fishes, then herons, then eagles, turtles, bear, wildlife, and humans. So fishes are also bioindicators. So all this algae, zooplankton, and then fishes, they act as bioindicators in lakes. So this planktons form food for fishes. So these are some common fishes mainly found in Bangalore lakes. That is Labirohita. It's called Rohu in Kannada. Then Oreochromis niloticus and Oreochromis mozambicus is tilapia species. So these are called jalebi in Kannada, and then this is Gambusia affinis. This is mainly used for mosquito control. So these eat up all this mosquito larvae. So there will be mosquito control in the lakes. Then this is Katla, also called Katla in Kannada. So next is macrophytes. So if you see all the green plants in lakes, they are the macrophytes, and they also have the chlorophyll content, and they have the ability to photosynthesize. So they actually are very important in aquatic ecosystem. And if also water is polluted, then all this macrophyte content will also get affected. So Sudarshan has already talked about the different components of different macrophytes in the lakes. So thank you, and I request all the students to come up with the water quality monitoring studies. If you cannot go to field work and do the experiments, you can also compile the data on water quality and then make a compiled information and present in your conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Asulabha. Now we have the session on soil. Ah, 15 minutes.
The soil near their home, analyze, look at it and come to the next conclusion.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am giving a presentation on soil. Okay, presentation on soil. Let us know about the soil. Soil is a mixture of organic matter, minerals, gases, liquids, and organisms that together support a life. Soil is a major component of Earth's ecosystem. The world's ecosystem are impacted and far reached, waving the process carried out in the soil, from ozone depletion and global warming to rainforest destruction and water pollution. With respect to the Earth's carbon cycle, soil is an important carbon reservoir, and it is potentially one of the most reactive to human disturbance and climate change. Let us know the composition. A typical soil is of 50% of solids and 50% of voids. Solids consist of 45% of minerals and 5% of organic matters. 50% of soil voids, of which half is occupied by water and half is occupied by gas. The percent of soil minerals and organic contents can be treated as a constant, while the percentage of soil, water, and gas content is considered highly variable, wherein the rise in one is simultaneously balanced of the reduction of the another one. We can see the three-phase diagram of the soil. One is solids, another one is water, another one is air. First one is soil and voids. It is a partially saturated soil, fully saturated soil, and a dry soil. Formation. Soil formation is combined effect of physical, chemical, and biological and anthropogenic processes working on the soil parent material. An example of development of a soil would begin with the weathering of a lava flow bedrock, which would produce a purely mineral-based parent material from which the soil texture forms. Soil development would process most rapidly from the bare rock of the recent flows in warm climate under heavy and frequent rainfall.
Slowly, don't rush.
This is the bedrock. When the rains weathering action happens, there will be plants will be growing. When the plants grow, there will be forces exerted on the rock. Due to that forces, the rock will disintegrate into small particles like this. And after the death of the organic matter, again the decomposition takes place, and again the soil formations like this, it will be taking place. This is the formation of the soil diagram. Physical properties. The physical properties of soil and texture, structures, bulk density, porosity, consistency, temperature, color, and resistivity. Soil texture is determined by the relative proportions of the three kinds of soil minerals particles called soil separators. First one is sand, silt, and clay. This is the a triangle diagram for a soil texture. Classification based on texture. Sandy soil. Sandy soil is a light, warm, dry, and tend to have be acidic and low in nutrients. Sandy soils are often known as light soils due to there are high proportions of soil, sand, and little clay. There are soils have quick water drainage and are very easy to work with. They are quicker to warm up with the spring than clay soils, but tend to dry out in the summer and suffer from the low nutrients and are washed away by rain. The addition of the organic matter can help to give plants an additional boost of the nutrients by improving the nutrients and water holding capacity of the soil. Next is the clay soil. Clay soil is a heavy soil that type of benefits from high nutrients. Clay soil remains wet and cold in winter and dry out in summer. These soils are made up of 25% of clay, and because of the spaces found between the clay particles, large amount of water is being occupied. Because these soils drain slowly and take longer to warm up in summer, combined with drying out and cracking in the summer, they can often test greatness. These clay soils are good for soil for plantations. Silt soil. Silt soil is a light and moisture retention soil type which high fertility rating. As silt soils comprise of medium-sized particles, they are well drained and hold moisture well. As the particles are fine, they can be easily compacted and prone to washing away from with rain. Loamy soil. Loamy soil is a mixture of sand, silt, and clay that are combined to avoid the negative effects of each type. These soils are fertile, easy to work with, and provide a good drainage. Depending on their predominant composition, they can be either sandy or clay loamy. As soils are perfect balance of the soil particles, they are considered to be as a gardener's best friend, but still benefits from topping up with additional organic matter. We can classify the soil based on the color. Soil color is usually due to three main pigments: black from organic matter, red from iron or aluminum oxide, white from silicates and sands. Soil sample collection. Soil testing is an essential component for soil resource management. Each sample collected must be a true representative of the area to be sampled. Utility of the results obtained from the laboratory analysis depends on the sampling precision. Hence, collection of the large number of samples is advisable so that the sample of desired size can be obtained by subsampling. In general, sampling is done at the rate of 1 sample for every 2 hectares of land. Materials required: spade or auger, croupie, core sampler, sampling bags, plastic tray or bucket. Dividing the field into homogeneous units based on the vertical observation. Remove the surface litter at the sampling spot. Divide the auger to the flow depth of 15 centimeter and draw the soil sample. Collect at least 10 to 15 samples from each sampling unit and place it in a bucket or a tray. If the auger is not available, make V-shaped cut on a depth of 15 centimeter in a sampling spot using spade. Remove thick slice of the soil from the top and of exposed face to the V-shaped cut and place it in a clean container. Mix the soil sample thoroughly and remove foreign materials like roots, stones, pebbles, and gravels. Reduce the bulks to about half to 1 kilogram by quantering or compartmentalization. Is done by dividing the thoroughly mixed sample into 4 equal parts. The two opposite quarters are discarded and remaining 2 parts are remixed, and the process is repeated until the desired sample is obtained. Collect the sample in a clean cloth or polythene bag. Label the bag with information like name of the farmer, location of the farm, survey number or previous crop grown, present crop to be grown in the next season, date of collection, name of the sample, etc. This is the depth of the soil to be collected in various crops like grass and grasslands, inches, 2 inches, rice, finger millet, groundnut, 6 inches, cotton, sugarcane, banana, 9, perennial crops. Their soil samples are 12, 24, and 36 inches respectively. Sieve analysis. Dry and wet sieve analysis is carried out to quantitatively determine the grain size or particle size. Distribution of soil particles of size 75 micron or bigger. For soil particles of size 4.75 mm and bigger. Dry sieve analysis is done and for soil particles below 75 micron and below 4.75 mm. Wet sieve analysis is also needed if the soil particles are coated by clay or silt. Equipment required: sieves of size 4.75 to 1 600 mm, 600 micron, 300 micron, 150 micron, and 75 micron. Trays, sieves, brushes, and mechanical siever, etc. Procedure: take a representative sample of the soil received from the field and dry it out in an oven. Use a known mass of dried soil, which is grain properties separated out. The maximum mass of the soil can be taken should not exceed 500 grams. Prepare a stack of sieves, set of sieves one over the other and with ascending order. and pan is attached to a lowest 75 mm sieve to collect the portions passing 200 mm 200 micron sieve and fit the next to the mechanical shaker. Make sure sieves are clean. If many soil samples are stuck in the opening tray, poke them with a brush or clean it. The whole nest of the sieves is given in a horizontal shaker for 10 minutes in a sieve shaker till the soil retained on the each reaches the consistent value. Determine mass of the soil retained on each sieve, including that collected in a pan below. Note down the weight retained. What is the soil sample retained on each sieve in this table, and percentage on calculate the percentage. Then calculate the cumulative percentage. Then percentage finer and remarks. You can also classify the soil based on the color. You can take the photographs of it, and various test methodologies are available in soil testing manual. You can collect the samples nearby your house or nearby village, and you can analyze the soil. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Rakesh. Now we have another session by Vinay.
Setu, am I visible?
Yeah, you are visible and audible also.
Give me a moment.
Yeah.
Before I share this, give me a moment.
Okay.
Okay, 1 second. Is the screen visible?
No, it didn't come yet. You have to click share screen.
Yeah, I've done that. Now is it visible?
Yeah, now it is coming.
Okay.
Vinay, we have the school children from Aecs, Presidency School. Okay.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. These two schools are from Bangalore South. Okay.
All right.
Banerghatta, near Banerghatta.
So I can speak in Kannada if required.
Yeah, you can also use mix.
Okay. Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. So, ನನ್ನ ಹೆಸರು ವಿನಯ್. ನಾನು ನಿಮಗೆ ಕಾಡು ಮತ್ತೆ ನೀರಿನ ಮಧ್ಯೆ ಇರುವ ಸಂಬಂಧದ ಬಗ್ಗೆ ಹೆಚ್ಚಾಗಿ ಅಭ್ಯಾಸವನ್ನು ಹೇಗೆ ಮಾಡೋದು ಅಂತ ತಿಳಿಸ್ಕೊಡ್ತೀನಿ. Okay, I'll be discussing about water and vegetation in the area. All right. The relationship between them and how well they can be related to each other. That's what we will try to understand right now. So whenever we talk about water, the first basic thing we need to understand is the water cycle, wherein a proportion of water transpires from the ocean. Okay, this transpired water condenses in the atmosphere, forms clouds, and these rain-bearing clouds travel to the terrain, and we have rainfall in those regions. This particular amount of rainfall, whatever we have different categories in that one. We have high intensity rainfalls, low intensity rainfalls, and many other things. All right. So this particular rainfall leads to formation of overland flows, and the subsurface flows and other things. Okay. Basically, the vegetation in the region allows a large scale amount of water to get infiltrated, and it also recharges the groundwater. So these groundwater recharges and the subsurface waters eats water in the non-monsoon seasons. All right. So whenever we talk about the total groundwater, global waters, we can see that in the entire Earth surface, 71% of the mass is water and 29% is Earth surface. All right. ಈಗ ನಾವು ಈ ನೀರಿನ ಭಾಗ ನೋಡಿದ್ರೆ 71% ಭೂಮಿ ನೀರಿನ ಭಾಗದಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ 97% ನಿಮಗೆ ಲವಣಾಂಶಯುಕ್ತ ನೀರು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಸಲೈನ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಉಪ್ಪಿನಾಂಶ ತುಂಬಾ ಜಾಸ್ತಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. ಮತ್ತೆ ಅದರಲ್ಲಿ 3% ಮಾತ್ರ ಫ್ರೆಶ್ ವಾಟರ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ. So proportion of fresh water.
Vinay, can you increase the volume? There is some issue with your audio.
Am I audible now?
Yeah, now it's fine.
Yeah.
And you can continue in English. Most of the students know English, it seems.
Okay, fine, no problem. All right. I'll repeat this slide again. Whenever we look at the Earth's surface, we see that 71% of the entire Earth's surface is covered by water, and nearly 29% is the land mass. All right. This 71% is further divided into two different classes. Let's say the saline water and the fresh waters. So the overall water resource, whatever we have 97% of them being saline in nature, and just 3% of them being freshwater resources. All right. This freshwater resource is further, when you look into the further division, we have the groundwaters, which is nearly 30%, the glaciers, the snow caps, and the ice caps, all those things happens to be nearly 69%. So we have just 1% as other forms of water, which is further in the form of low altitude, shallow aquifers, lakes, the atmospheric waters, that's nothing but the moisture and the humidity things, the soil waters, the water in the swamps, the rivers. So whenever on a whole, when we look at, we can see that just less than 0.1% is available as the waters to the human system. So that's what we need to keep in mind. So whenever we talk about fresh waters, basically they provide clean water, food, fiber, energy, and it supports a lot of benefiting. It supports by benefiting the economy and the livelihood. The support is not just limited to the human-induced environment, but also the existing ecosystem. These freshwaters, they basically have evolved the biodiversity which is existing in the entire system. All right. The problem is the human-centric activities. We have too much of human-centric activities which are with the increasing demands. There's a large-scale withdrawal of water. The demands for drinking, the demands for irrigation, the demands for industries, all those things have led to extraction of more and more water from the freshwater resources. All right, this has led to the compromise and degradation of the natural flows. It can be the overland flows or the subsurface flows. Overland flows ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನದಿಗಳು, subsurface flows ಅಂದ್ರೆ ನಮಗೆ ಅಂತರ್ಜಲ. Okay, the groundwater. So these are the different kinds of flows that needs to be there in a river. All right. So you have low flow conditions. Basically, this happens in the lean season after the rainfall, and particularly during the monsoon season, after the in the summer seasons. All right. So what happens in the low flow conditions is that there's a large scale growth of zooplanktons and phytoplanktons. So Simsi and Rasulova have already explained you about the zooplanktons and phytoplanktons. Basically, wherever you have the low flow conditions or stagnant water conditions, you can find these kind of diversity there. So, and these low flows, in addition to whatever you have, it supplements for the growth of fishes and the aquatic life. Basically, it acts as a breeding and feeding grounds. Whenever you have a high flow condition, basically during the rainfall, most of the water just flushes away. Okay, what happens during the flushing is that whatever the nutrients is present on the upstream, it drives down to the downstream riverine floodplains, also to the estuaries. Okay, this acts as the nutrient rich area wherein you have a large scale biodiversity thrive in the non-monsoon seasons. Okay, so whenever you talk about a river or whenever you are talking about water resources, basically we need to look at the catchment area. So in general, a catchment area is the one wherein wherever you put the water, it drains out to a common point. One simple example is that, let's say you take your own bathrooms where you bathe every day. Wherever you bath in your bathroom, it goes to a common exit point. So the entire bathroom itself makes as a catchment to this particular outlet. It goes out to a drain. Similar thing is a common is what you have the basins, the water basins, what you have in your house, like the wash basins. The name is derived from the catchment itself. Any alterations in the catchment, it can be the land use alterations, it can be the rainfall dynamics, all those things plays a major role in the water availability in the local area. This is what you need to understand. So these are the various factors that control the flow in the catchment. So basically we'll be concentrating on land use and how it plays a major role in the flow regime in the catchment. All right. So talking about vegetation and other characteristics, you would have read in your earlier classes or in the current classes, wherein forest basically acts as the water towers. They capture the water from the atmosphere, and whatever the water is there, they pump down to the subsurface to the roots as the pores formed due to the same. Okay. any undisturbed natural forest, wherever you have an undisturbed natural forest, basically the flow is consistent in those regions. That's what you can observe in the Western Ghats of Karnataka. Similarly, when you look into the Himalayas, the flow in these regions are basically due to the rainfall in the rainy seasons and because of the snow melt in the summer season. Okay, the Western Ghats, because of its age and because of its maturity, the diversity and because of its density, are enhancing the water availability in those regions. Degradation of these Western Ghats will further have a direct impact on the water sustenance of the entire peninsular India. This is what I have emphasized there. So what you are supposed to do when you are understanding the vegetation as well as the water relationships is that you need to measure the stream, observe the groundwater levels. Sorry, 1 second. Is this visible, Bharat?
Yeah, it is visible.
Okay. Basically, we need to understand the relationship between the vegetation and water body.
Vinay, you can switch off the video. It's better you can switch off the video.
I don't have access to that one right now. 1 second. Okay. Okay. Let's say what you're supposed to do is that in order to understand the relationship between water and the vegetation, you need to first measure the streams. Let's say you have any streams in the vicinity, you need to measure that one. Or else you have the groundwaters in the region, you need to measure that groundwater levels, how well the groundwater levels are changing over time. That's what you need to understand. The other thing is that you need to relate the vegetation characteristics. Basically, the kind of vegetation, it can be areca gardens, it can be eucalyptus plants, or it can be forest. Let's say when you are close to Banarghata, if you measure wells in those regions, you can understand how the dynamics, how well the forest plays a major role in understanding the dynamics. Similarly, when you are closer to the eucalyptus plantations, basically in the proximity of your school, you have a lot of eucalyptus plantations on the way towards Banarghata. So you can have a look at those regions. They also give you a different picture of the groundwater level. In addition to these things, what you can do is you can also try to look at the lakes which are not polluted in order to understand that how the vegetation in the catchment help you to understand or how the vegetation behaves in catering the water in the non-monsoon seasons. So what you are supposed to do, you need to understand, you need to select a particular stream or well in different land use types. Settle, just a second. Sorry for the disturbance. So basically, you are supposed to select various land use types. Okay, it can be the agriculture, it can be horticulture, open spaces, urban areas, degraded forest, good forest conditions. These things is what you are going to observe. Horticulture, when we talk about, basically your areca nut, coconut is what basically you find in those regions, followed by banana plantations. And agricultural lands, you have paddy fields and you have ragi fields. That's what you can observe in those regions. You can observe the wells in those regions, their behavior there. Open spaces, you have a lot of open spaces in the region. Urban areas, let's say you are dwelling in an urban area or in a village, how the well water behaves in those regions, that's what you're going to observe. Generally, when you talk about streams, since there are no much streams, the native streams there are almost diminished. I'll not go into this topic, but I'll tell you in general. So basically, you will be doing the area velocity method, wherein you will be measuring the cross-sectional area of the entire stream. Let's say if I have a stream flowing like this, I'll measure the width of the stream. Let's say the width is 50 centimeters. I'll measure an average depth. So you can see on the bottom, you have various depths. Let's say at the initial part you have 2 centimeters, middle you have 10 centimeters, and varying depths across the entire stream. All right. So you'll be measuring the average depth. Here the average depth is nearly 5.6 centimeters. All right. So if I measure the cross-section area, this is nearly 280 square centimeters. That is 5.6 multiplied by 50 centimeters. Similarly, you need to observe the velocity. So in order to observe the velocity, you need to have a stop clock, and you need to measure a distance of 100 meters from location A to location B, or 100 centimeters. On the right hand side, you can see that on the bank, we'll have two markers. Let's say the initial part is, let's say, A, and the other end part is, let's say, B. And you drop a float. A float can be a thermocol, a float can be a plastic ball or something like that. But avoid these kind of products. Use the natural products such as wicks or leaves. And you drop the. You can see at the slide in the image below, wherein when you there's a particular movement of the float. So you'll be dropping the float at the center. All right. When it comes to the initial part, at the 0th unit, you start the stop clock, and then when it comes to the end, you stop the stop clock. Let's say here the float has taken nearly 40 seconds to travel from 0 to 100 centimeters. Okay, it has taken 40 seconds. So in general, the criteria is that the central part of the stream will have a higher velocities as against the edges, or as well as at the bottom. In order to overcome this effect, we take a factor of 0.8. We take a multiplicative factor of 0.8. So the velocity here is 0.8 into 100 centimeters by 40 seconds. Simply, it is nearly 2 centimeters per second. Okay. So you can measure the discharge. The discharge is nothing but the area into the velocity. Since I am supposed to convert everything into liters per hour, I'll be doing a multiplying with a factor 3.6. So you get nearly 4,016 liters per hour. These things you can measure generally in the rainy seasons. In your case, let's say in this month you have good amount of rain. Next month you will have good amount of rains. Whereas in the month of October, November, and December, the rain depletes. Okay. So what you can do is, before the rainfall, you observe the flow. During the rainfall, you observe the flow conditions in a stream wherever you have. And after the rainfall has stopped, measure after 1 hour of rainfall and 2 hours and 3 hours of rainfall. There you try to understand how the stream actually behaves with a particular amount of rainfall. Let's say if a rainfall is 100 centimeters, 100 millimeters, which has happened within the 2 to 3 hours of duration, you can see that the discharges are very high. Whereas if 10 mm has happened in the time, the discharge is also different, and the rate at which the discharge changes over time is also different. That's what you are supposed to observe. All right. So this gives an example wherein we have measured every month in the Western Ghats in the month of March 2014 to April 2016. Why did we do this? Is that to understand the dynamics across the seasons, also across varying climatic conditions. So here I'm showing you four different catchments, namely Yana, Nanalli, Belangi. What you can observe is that Belangi is a degraded catchment, whereas Yana is a very good catchment. It has a good forest cover. You can see in the post-monsoon seasons and the pre-monsoon seasons, this particular catchment behave in a different way. What it is saying is that it has a higher amount of discharges in those months, indicating that higher non-monsoon flows, indicating higher sustainability in the region. Similarly, the other thing is that you need to understand the groundwater dynamics. How you are going to do is that you will be measuring the groundwater table at every let's say if you have a well in an urban area, that's one you will be observing. Similarly, a well in an agriculture area, a well in a forested area, or in the proximity of the forested area, that's what you will be observing. Okay, you will be measuring the depth of water every month in general. Similar to the rivers, what you can do is that you can observe before the rainfall, during the rainfall, and after the rainfall events to understand the quantum of increase in the water table as a relation with the rainfall, indicating how well the terrain and the vegetation behaves with rainfall in order to maintain the groundwater table. So this is one example of Pandavarakolu in Sagar district, Sagar Taluk of Shimoga district, wherein we have measured at 5 different points. So you can see that the wells 1, 2, and 4, which are in the close proximity of the forest, have a very low variation in the groundwater depth, whereas this can be in the monsoon season as well as in the non-monsoon season also. You can see that the depth varies somewhere between 1 to 2 meters, whereas when you see the wells such as P3, which is in the horticulture land, and the P5, which is outside, you can see that the depths are very high. The depth at which water available is very high, and the variation is also very high in these times across both the years. All right. So by this, what you can understand is that forested areas plays a major role in in altering the groundwater dynamics. Like it sustains the groundwater flow, whereas altered catchment, let's say P5, you can see that our entire area upon the P5 is completely open area or agriculture land. Okay. This is the reason why the groundwater depths are very much varying, and you can see across seasons it also varies a lot. That's what you will be establishing in the next few months. You'll be understanding the flow dynamics in the month of monsoon, after monsoon, across different landscape conditions. So what needs to be recorded is basically you need to record it at a monthly scale or weekly scale. Also, during the monsoon, after the monsoon, and before the monsoon, you need to understand the dynamics of these water bodies, and you need to relate the dynamics with respect to the vegetation category. So in your case, what you can do is that Bannerghatta has a deciduous forest, followed by when you come close away from Bannerghatta, you have teak plantation and acacia plantations. Followed by when you come across too close away, you have agriculture lands, and you have larger amount of open landscapes. There you can observe, and since there are no cycles, there is no need to worry about them. With this, I thank you all. In case of any doubts, you just put the message. I will revert back to you. Thank you, Bharat.
Thank you, Vinay. Now we have some questions, so we will take up those questions.
Sure.
So, Vinay,
Sir.
you are celebrating Gauri festival with Gauri and Ganesha at home. We can see.
Sir. So I had to. Sorry for the interference in between with this thing.
Okay. Vinay, I will try to answer all the queries posed by the kids and teachers. Okay, you can be in the background.
I'll be
in case anything is required, I will let you know.
Sure, sir. I'll be on, sir. I'll be mute condition. Just I'll be.
Okay. Sujata has asked a question. Can we take mapping as a topic? Yeah, you are most welcome to take the mapping of bird diversity, mapping of butterfly diversity, mapping of water bodies in Bangalore, mapping of trees in Bangalore. And we have done some work. You can refer that. And you can do this study in your ward, in your area, locality. If you are staying in Jayanagar, you can take up Jayanagar as the unit. You can do the mapping of Jayanagar. Bharat has showed how to map the ward boundaries. Once you have the ward boundaries, you should be able to do the mapping. Okay. Then Maitreyi asks, can we take medicinal plants as a topic? You are most welcome to take it up. And a lot of details are available, including the web pages was shown by Deepthi Hebale in our presentation. And apart from that, Karnataka has the Medicinal Authority, the Conservation Protection Authority. You can see the website of the Medicinal Authority. Apart from that, Karnataka Biodiversity Board has a lot of details. You can also look at it. And you talk to grandmother if grandmother is at home or seniors in your area. They'll also tell you what are the kinds of plants used for medicine, okay? And what are the medicinal properties of the plant. So you don't have to go out this one. You sitting at home, you should be able to do the thing, talking to the people, and you can talk to some of the Ayurveda doctor. They'll also tell you about the medicinal properties of the plants, okay? Then Kritika asks, is it necessary to study Bangalore or Karnataka only, or can we study any part of the country? You can study any part of the globe. If you want to study Pakistan, Bangladesh, China, you can do it. No region, since because of the COVID, we thought that you may not be able to go to China or US. So we thought that you can do it on Bangalore or Karnataka. But you can go to any part, even other states in India, you can take up the study and do that, okay? Depending on your convenience and your interest, there is no restriction on the topic as well as no restriction on the geographical boundary. Then Sriram has asked, can we take a particular lake in your neighborhood for research? Most valid question. Take up a lake in your locality, near your school or your home, then that lake will become your lake. So that you can conserve the lake and you can give the lake, lake gives the groundwater. when you have a clean water in the lake, your groundwater is also uncontaminated. So that is your one way of giving the clean water to the people in your locality. You can take up the lake in your locality, either near home or near the school. Okay. But when you go to the lake for water collection and analysis, please make sure your teacher is there or some seniors are there with you. Don't go alone. Then Atulya asked, can we take the topic zoonotic diseases like COVID-19, malaria? Yes, you are most welcome to take it up. When children like you take it up and tell the decision maker how the zoonotic diseases get spread and what are the mismanagement people are doing and why we are facing the crisis of COVID, that would be more effective. You should do that. Okay. So then the Sri Harshini asked, can we just study plants in our neighborhood because it's not really possible to go to the other parts right now? Yes, we want you to study what is there in your immediate vicinity. Don't go to the other places like your other friend asked, other part of the India. So you just take up your word and do the mapping of the trees. And we had conducted a lecture on trees by G.R. Rao. That video is archived in that YouTube link. You just access that lecture so that you will understand how to identify the plant based on the morphological feature. You can take up the study. You can just do the mapping of the trees in your ward. Similarly, if there are 198 kids in your school, they can take up 198 wards in Bangalore, and you can do the mapping of the trees in entire Bangalore. Your school can do the mapping of trees in entire Bangalore. You can join hands with Aecs and you can do the collaborative work also. Then Bhavya asked, sir, should we make PPT presentation or A4 sheet? You can do the PPT presentation. We are still in the stage of the, the what topic, etc. You have already moved to the next level. That is a good sign. You started thinking what is next. Okay. But you should come with a good topic and good content. Then you plan for PPT presentation. The kids of your age design very good PPTs. We would like to look at that PPT, as well as you have to submit a 1-page or 2-page report. The report should contain a small introduction followed by your objective of the study, how you have done the study, and what are the significant results. You should bring it out. You can write it in 2 pages, show it to your teacher. So once the teacher approves it, you send it to us. Okay. Then Sri Harshini again asked another question. Is it okay to do the study just considering the neighborhood? Yes, you do it considering the neighborhood. Once you understand your neighborhood, then you will understand the entire world. Okay, doing it neighborhood is very meaningful because you can every day you can look at what kind of butterfly is there, birds are there, or trees are there, what kind of human beings are there, what are the social aspect, what is the food habit in your neighborhood. All those things you can study. Okay, Bhavya asks, sir, how should we present the topic we have chosen? Bhavya is still thinking of presentation only. I have said that you can do the PPT presentation, like in case you are unable to come to IISc, you can also plan to do the webinar, like all these students, Deepthi, Sinsi, Sulabha and all did the presentation. Similar way, you can also do the presentation. Okay, then Indu asked, what is the alternative for collection of on-site information or parameter? Since we are talking about neighborhood, collecting a immediate vicinity data is not a difficult thing. In spite of zoonotic disease around, you should be able to go to the lake, or you can collect the data. Or if you are thinking of air, you can also look at the website like the Deepthi showed, Karnataka State Pollution Control Board and many other sites give the air quality. Water quality details are also available in the Karnataka State Pollution Control Board website and also our website. You can also synthesize data and do the presentation. But the joy of going to the field, you will miss it. At this age, if you can go to the field once or twice and collect the data, it would be wonderful. See, when you learn from the field, you will never forget. When you read, there is a tendency for people to forget after the conference is over. We are investing our time for lifetime. Okay, so I want you to learn the things. The best thing is you should plan to go to the field in your immediate neighborhood. Okay, then Bhavya asked another question. Should we make the project or anything on the topic which we are discussing? You can choose the topic, talk to your teachers and talk to us. So once we approve, you can go ahead it. So anything related to ecology and environment, you can do it. When I talk about ecology and environment, it covers everything, including bedbug in your home or the mosquito in your home to the elephant. Okay. So the topic is wide. You can choose the topic based on your interest. Okay. So then there are a couple of more questions are there. The Sahitya asked, we know that it is cycle between water, land, microorganism, phytoplankton, zooplankton. So if we are talking about the reviving a lake, which is barren land, right now, what will be the first step? See, find out how much water comes when it rains. Then you need to direct the water to that lake, remove all the hindrances. That is the first thing. Once you collect the water, once the water is there, ecosystem get established on its own. See, for your information, we just created a lake in Iisc campus. Today we have even otter. Nirnai is also there. So that is the beauty of the nature. You don't have to do more thing. Nature will start building its ecosystem. So you provide a habitat. As the person providing habitat will make the other things to happen. If you are interested, you can see there are publication on lake rejuvenation. What we have worked on, we have put it on the website. You can download and read, including Balandur and Vartur lakes. Okay. Then Rishikesh asked, does the high density of macrophyte in a lake indicate a good water quality? You know, when you have profuse growth of macrophyte, it indicates there is lot of food available. Lot of food available means lot of nutrient is available in the lake. That means somebody is letting the nutrient into the lake in the form of untreated sewage. It indicates the contamination or the pollution of the lake. So the profuse growth of macrophyte only shows there is a nutrient enrichment or there is a the discharge of untreated sewage and industrial effluent into the lake. So that means you need to, by studying the macrophyte, composition of the macrophyte and the spread of macrophyte, you should be able to assess the level of pollution in the lake. Then the Shreya asks, can we take the topic about weather and climate changes affecting the plants? You are most welcome to do it. I am sure you know the difference between weather and climate because you have used both the terms. So you can do that, and how the changes in climate also changes the species turnover, and you can talk about it. But you need to take up a larger area to do this kind of studies. Jagrati asks, can we add our own pictures which we have taken during research? Yes, that is the best way of doing the thing. If you use your own photograph, there won't be any copyright issues. Nobody will come and ask you. People like Ravi Shankar and all will ask you. Rakesh will ask. If you are taken from internet and use the thing, they will catch you. So best thing is use your own photograph. That is a good way of learning the subject. So do not do the copy paste. The student should never think of doing copy paste. They should do their own work. Then they'll become leaders tomorrow. Those who do the copy paste will become a sleeping masters in the offices. I don't want you to become one like that. Okay. Then Sriram asks, can we merge two topics and present? I didn't understand the questions, but I assume that if you are thinking about plants in water, then you can merge two topics. If you want to study the soil quality with the kind of plants grown, that is also two topics, you can do it. Similarly, whatever you have planned, there is no bar on your idea. Anything you can take it up and study. And if you want to see how people dress and what kind of environment, that also is fine. So as long as it's related to, there is some message, we do not restrict you from the topic. Okay. Gayatri asks, any models on sustainable energy can be presented? So we do not allow the models, you know, because I have seen people come bring the model that is created elsewhere. They just bring it and place it, and then they say claim that they have done. There's a lot of recycle and reuse of models happens in the system. Our agenda of organizing symposium is capacity building. We want you to learn. When you learn now, you become a successful person in your career. We want that to happen, whereas the models do not give that kind of opportunity because there are so many agencies making models and students just go and collect the model and come and do the presentation. So that won't be effective. So I would advise you to take up the topic on solar energy or wind energy or any renewable energy sources. Come and do the paper presentation. When you do it in a forum where people like us are around, you'll also feel you'll be more confident. Okay, I want you to learn the subject. When is the last date to submit a paper or PPT? Your school will decide. So we are planning to have, your school has to finalize and shortlist the list, student by the end of September, and October we are planning to have a workshop wherein we will evaluate the kids and then invite them for the lake symposium. As of now, either September end or the October first week, your school will conduct the program and will choose the candidates for the next level. So then we will come to your school or through the webinar we will interact with you, so that in the month of October we will shortlist the candidate for the December the lake symposium. Now there is Sahitya has asked one more question: are there more lake reviving project young student can take part in? See, as a young kids, you will not be able to do the take part in the lake reviving project. I would advise you to understand the ecosystem. What is the lake ecosystem? What is a pristine lake ecosystem? If it is contaminated, what happened? How the people are dependent on lakes for either for fish, fodder or groundwater. You can do that kind of study. When you grow up, when you come to the degree level, probably you can take up the lake rejuvenation projects. Okay, so if you want to understand about the lake rejuvenation, you come to the Jakkur Lake. You know, there is a successful model which we have implemented about 10 years back, and we have been monitoring for the last 10 years. So our students, Sinsi, Sulabha, Sudarshan, all go regularly and they monitor. So you can go to Jakkur Lake and you can talk to Chelposhan NGO. They'll also tell you how they are managing a system with the help of the local people. So once you understand how the lake rejuvenation has been done and how it is managed, you know, the success of the rejuvenation will happen only if the local people take active part. Local people, especially the children, have a decisive role. So when you say your lake is polluted, no, the government will listen to everybody. When you do not make that kind of a noise, then government will also sleep. So I want you to understand the importance of the clean lake versus the implication of having polluted lake. Amruta has asked a question: can we talk about medicinal plants in Western Ghat and make a project on how it economically helps the natives residing there? The Western Ghats is not only helping the natives in that region, it provides the medicine to the entire country and the globe. So it is a hot spot. There are about 4,500 plant species are there, and also the numerous animal species which is being used for the medicinal purposes, including the fishes. We discovered 2 new species in that region which had a medicinal value: Schistura nagodiensis and Schistura sharavatiensis. That way there is a immense the resources available in the Western Ghat. If you understand the wealth of the information that is available, wealth of the resources that is there in the Western Ghat, I am sure you will also think about conserving the Western Ghat for the next generation. Then Shubha has asked, how many slides is there a limitation? We will give a time limit of 8 minutes. So you can choose the number of slides depending on your capability. If you are a fast person, 8 to 10 or 12 slides should be enough. If you are a slow person, then have a 3 or 4 slides. Okay, it purely depends on your ability. 8 minutes is the duration. Then Nimisha has asked, can teams be formed? Students should present individually or in the team. You can do individually as well as collectively. When we give the prize, if it is individual, one person gets the prize. If there are 3 people in the team, then the prize has to be divided among the 3 people. So you decide. If some project requires the collective effort, so you can plan depending on the kind of the project you have chosen. If it is an individuals, you know, for example, studying the solar energy or the wind energy or the butterfly, maybe one person can do. But lake monitoring may require 2-3 people. So depending on that, in consultation with the teacher, you have your team. Please choose the members who does a job. Don't just put a individual who do not they just advise something and sleep over it. Okay, active members is a requirement for the team. Then Raghu asked, can I contact you through email or further information on the topic? If so, your email ID. Raghu, you know, you have heard Ramayana, no? After Ramayana, if you ask what is the Rama and Sita, it is too difficult. I showed the, all the presenters showed their mobile number, their email. Depending on the topic, you can contact them. And also I showed the slide where all these people email IDs are available. So any point of time, you are most welcome to contact us so that you can acquire the knowledge, or any doubt you can also take it up. Okay. So now there's one more question from Jagruti. Jagruti has asked, sir, to become a scientist like you, what do we need to pursue for our future studies? What is required is a hard work and sincerity. When you have a will to serve the society, you will emerge as a leader. So that way, the hard work, dedicated hard work takes you to the top. You need to understand that. And, when you study, don't study for someone. You study for yourself. Acquire the knowledge. As you acquire the knowledge, as you acquire the information and then convert it to knowledge, you become the scientist. The person who has the knowledge is known as scientist. So you could be one among them. I'm very happy that you have a plan to become a scientist. You are already a scientist. If you do a good experiment, you will become a successful scientist. Okay. So what you learn at the school time, you will go on improve that. That's what the students do. I had a vision to become a scientist when I was in a school, because I had an opportunity to interact with the scientists like C.N.R. Rao and all when I was in the school. That is where today I am in this one. I'm sure you will also be one if you continue the journey with the vision, and also the sincere effort will take you to the top. Shubha asked, we must be explaining while presenting, right? I thought we all did that. No, we presented, we also explained. We didn't just put the slides. You should also explain to us, because there are some people like me who do not understand just the slide. You need to explain. When you explain, we get more information. You should plan to do the presentation and explain this one when you put the slides. Okay. Now, this is the slide. I think you all can see the email number, email ID of all the people. If you are interested in birds, rijufornature@gmail is there. Butterfly, if you are interested, chaturveshet@gmail.com is there. If you are interested in mapping, bharat.settur@gmail.com is there. If you want to contact Deepthi, you can contact deepthi.hepale@gmail.com. Similarly, if you want to know about coastal ecosystem, gsaranya@iic.ac.in is there. Then water quality, Cincy is there, cincyv@iic.ac.in. Asulba@iic.ac.in. Sudarshan Bhatt is bhatt.sudarshanp@gmail.com. The Vinay S is Vinay86169@gmail.com. Okay, then there is another person who gave a presentation, Ravi Shankar Mishra. His email ID is shankarravi1510@gmail.com. His name is Ravi Shankar. You just have to say Shankar Ravi. He was born on 15th October. That's why email ID is shankarravi1510@gmail.com. Similarly, there's another gentleman, Rakesh. His email is rakeshdr@gmail.com. rakeshdr19@gmail.com. Okay. Anyway, we'll put it on the web, all these details. So you can this one contact. If you do not have if you have forgotten all, you can just send a mail to lake2020.iisc.gmail.com. If you want to contact me, my name is TV Ramachandra. You replace Cincy with TVR. tvr@iisc.ac.in is my email ID. So any point of time you can contact us if you have any doubt. But I'm sure your teacher is the best person to guide you. In case there is a slight problem, you can talk to us. My phone number is 080-2293-3099. I do not use mobile because I use always the email. Okay. Then Maitreyi has asked the question, who should we contact for medicinal plant? So you can contact GR Rao. His email ID is grrao1@gmail.com. There is a slide available on the plants thing. He will also guide you on medicinal plant. We are as a part of this orientation program, we are organizing a series of webinars. You know, some days in the evening around 4:30 or 5:30 for about 40 minutes or 60 minutes. You are most welcome to subscribe to this channel, you know, YouTube channel where all these lectures are hosted. So the next talk will be by Sudarshan. He will be talking about the macrophytes in this 28th. He will be presenting the thing. Then Bharat is also giving a detailed presentation on mapping with a case study. You should be able to listen like that. On medicinal plant, we are planning to get Dr. Satnarayan Bhatt. He will be presenting sometime in September, so that whatever the topic you are interested, we will try to bring the experts. Okay. If you want a biotech expert, then we will have a lecture by the Deepthi and Ravi Shankar together on one of the days. Okay, we will plan that. Okay, I think we had a good session today. Thank you very much for the actively participating in this orientation program. I am sure you will all come to the Lake Symposium. I am sure you all will come to the Lake Symposium with a good presentation and good, so that you will give your knowledge to all of us. We want youngsters contributing to the nation. See, when you have the information dissemination, you are also helping the nation in the knowledge development. So knowledge is a requirement for any person to be successful. When you acquire knowledge, you become successful and you become jnanis. We need more and more jnanis in our system, not agnanis, like the people who come on the television every alternate day in the night. So I hope you will learn and you will take an opportunity and you will come back to us with a good experiment. I would like to see all of you who have participated today will come to the Lake Symposium. So please plan to do the lesson. There is no restriction on the number of entry, but the only thing is we will evaluate for your the content quality and also the effort put in. So please make sure that you are not putting any erroneous content. You do not do the copy paste in the slides. You try to be as original as possible. Even if you try to collect the information from secondary sources like Deepthi showed, you need to convert that into your own sentences and also analyze the thing. Don't present the data as it is. You should analyze and interpret it, and then you can present it. So the doing the data collection from the field you can do, or else you can also have a project where if there are restrictions to go out, you can also sit at home and collect the data online. Lot of data is available. You can analyze and come for the orientation program, which will be in the end of somewhere in the September or the first week of October. Then if when your teacher selects you all, then we'll have the next level of the selection, that is going to be in October for all the schools put together, so that you can plan to come to the Lake Symposium in December, so that you'll have sufficient time to fine tune your work and your experiment. When you see the other students presentation also, you will get an idea how you can improve, or other students also come to get an idea how they can improve their slides based on your the presentations. Okay, I look forward for your active participation in the Lake Symposium. Lake Symposium is organized by us, is being organized by us only for capacity building, not for any other purpose. We want more and more youngsters coming to the science domain.
Sir, the audio just stopped. We are unable to hear you. Okay, I think there was some technical issue at the end, so the audio went off. So I thank all of you for being a part of this orientation program. And on this auspicious occasion of Gauri Ganesha Festival, we have started the journey of Lake Conference. As a research project, you will be starting your work. So I'm sure you would have gone through the brochure as well. So the winner of this particular conference, whoever does the best project, they will be given the award called as Sahyadri Young Ecologist, which is a very prestigious award to receive. And it's an international conference, so you will get an opportunity to interact with delegates from all over the country and the globe. From various countries, delegates will be coming in who will interact with you. So I request all of you to start your work from today itself. Start thinking about what projects you can do, how you can collect the data, and once you have the data, how it can be sorted out and presented in a very structured manner. Okay, take as much help from your teachers and us if required, and do not hesitate to ask questions. Always stay curious, and don't just ask questions, but also try finding the answers to it by yourself. When you are unable to find it, trouble your teachers, and if they are able to give you the answers, well and good. If they also need some help, then you can always reach out to us and we will be able to help you out. Okay, so I thank all of you from both Aecs Magnolia Maruti Public School and Presidency School South for participating in this orientation program. I thank the management to give an opportunity for the students to take part in this conference. And I thank all of them in the organizing committee of Lake 2020 and the partners for organizing this event and sharing valuable information with all the students. So I thank you, all of you, and once again wish all of you a very happy Gauri and Ganesha festival. All the very best for your projects. Thank you very much.